short while from now.
Nitin. Pictures, in fact, from Sports Minister Anurag Thakur's residence in Delhi, where Sakshi Malik, along with her husband, is reached. Also, Bajrang Punia is there. These are wrestlers, in fact, meeting the government. The Sports Minister is engaging with them, is what we've been given to understand. So we have Bajrang Punia and Sakshi Malik along with the husband, and the other wrestlers, what we also are picking up, will be joining in soon, who have been protesting for many days now. The government is making an outreach, having another round of talks with the wrestlers who've been protesting. Previously, Home Minister Amit Shah also met the wrestlers. So will this be at a time when Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh continues to be defiant? Also, we were talking about the investigations in this matter. Nitin, if you could take our viewers through what really has happened vis-a-vis the investigations in this case.
So, Sneha, as of now, the complainants have recorded their statements under Section 161 and also under Section 164 CRPC. The minor has again recorded her statement in front of Patiala House Court in the court, and there are sources that telling us that she might have taken back her complaint. But it is going to be very interesting, because once the court will start the hearing, then only we will come to know that has she taken back the complaint or not. But as of now, police is investigating all this matter. The police SIT team was there in Gonda to ask some questions to the relatives of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh and also to Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and police is now expecting to file an status report in the court as soon as possible, I think in 2 or 3 days. So let's see that what police have what police is saying in this matter. But as of now, the important meeting is about to start at Anurag Thakur's residence. Bajrang is here, Sakshi Malik is here, Rakesh Tikat is here, Vinesh Fogart is expected to be here at any time.
Right. This is a conversation again that the wrestlers, Nitin, are having with the government about a week ago. On Saturday, they'd also met the Home Minister, and the message from the government at that point in time was that let law take its own course, isn't it?
Well, of course, that meeting with Amit Shah was very important and crucial. That meeting was lasted around 1.5 hours. And wrestlers also made it clear in that meeting that arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, because constantly they are just demanding arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and also to conduct the elections. There should be no member of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's family in WFI. So basically there are 2-3 demands which athletes are constantly saying that it should happen. But remember, from that day, when they met Amit Shah in the Saturday night, after that meeting, everything has started. I think there is a call from Amit Shah's office to Anurag Thakur saying that meet those wrestlers, and that is why midnight yesterday Anurag Thakur tweeted that government is willing to discuss the ongoing issue of wrestlers, and that is why there is a meeting which is about to start is at Anurag Thakur's residence is going to be very crucial.
Absolutely, this meeting will be crucial. Sakshi Malik is there, so is Bajrang Punia. Sakshi Malik, of course, along with her husband, is there. Who else expected at this meeting? Nitin, what more can you tell us?
Well, Sneha, remember from...
तो हम 9 जून को उन पहलवानों को वहीं जाकर बैठाएंगे। ठीक है, इधर कर लो, इधर सर राकेश में भी चले गए तो कई जगह मोर्चे खुल रहे, शाहबाद है, नोएडा है, दिल्ली का है, तो मोर्चे तो खुल रहे चारों तरफ देश में।
सर आज तक पे लाइव के लिए चाह रहे हैं। सर 1 मिनट, कहाँ है कैमरा पर्सन? इधर आइए। इन्हें भी कर लेंगे। शाहबाद में क्या रणनीति बनाने? रणनीति अभी सब लोग हैं यहाँ पे, कमेटी के लोग हैं, इनसे बातचीत करेंगे। तो जो लाठीचार्ज हुआ गलत हुआ सर, और गिरीश इधर आओ। एमएसपी मांग रहे थे किसान, एमएसपी ये देश में एमएसपी पे पहला लाठीचार्ज है सर, ये पूरे देश में। गिरीश
Okay, you heard in fact from Rakesh Tikat, who is in fact on his way to Karnal. And what he said essentially is this, that there is a meeting which is going to start, and it remains to be seen what the outcome is, but we're open to a dialogue is what he hinted at. Rakesh Tikait has been seen along with the wrestlers for days now at Delhi's Jantar Mantar in support of the wrestlers, standing firmly behind him, who is not at this meeting but he's on his way to Karnal. And the wrestlers have reached Anurag Thakur's residence in Delhi is what we've been given to understand. Nitin, in fact, I was asking you who else are there at the meeting. Which other wrestlers have joined? Is this the final round of conversation with the sports ministry, or is the government willing to engage with the wrestlers even further, even as the message from the Home Minister was that let law take its own course when the wrestlers met him on Saturday last? This time around, it's the sports minister who is meeting with these wrestlers. Anurag Thakur's residence where this meeting is going to take place. We have Sakshi Malik and Bajrang Punia already at the venue. The meeting is taking place at the sports minister's house. Another outreach from the government, hoping to find a solution to this that has been this crisis. Listen in once again to what Sakshi Malik told India Today earlier.
साक्षी, मैं कह रहा था आप लोग को इस मीटिंग से कितनी उम्मीदें हैं और कितना आपको लग रहा है कि ये मैटर सॉल्व हो सकता है?
देखो, वो तो जी जाके पता चलेगा कि और हमारी तो डिमांड आपको पता ही है शुरुआत से है कि गिरफ्तारी होनी चाहिए और फेडरेशन जो है नीट एंड क्लीन, जो बिचार वही उसके बंदे ना हो। तो हमारी मांग तो शुरुआत से एक ही है। अभी देखते हैं कि आज गवर्नमेंट क्या प्रपोजल रखती है हमारे आगे, और वो प्रपोजल हमें पसंद आया उसके बाद हम अपनी जो खाप पंचायत जो हमारे जुड़े हुए संगठन हैं सारे, उनको दिखाएंगे कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये प्रपोजल दिया है। सब खुले उससे होगा, मीडिया को पता होगा, आम पब्लिक को पता होगा, सभी को पता होगा। जब सब एग्री होंगे, राजी होंगे, तभी हम अपना प्रोटेस्ट जो है खत्म करने की सोचेंगे। यूं नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ भी प्रपोजल पकड़ा दिया और हम अपना ही फैसला ले आएंगे आज ठीक कि हाँ हमने तो प्रोटेस्ट खत्म कर दिया। ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। ये तभी खत्म होगा जब सब एग्री होंगे, आम पब्लिक से लेके हमारे सारे समर्थक एग्री होंगे, जब ही प्रोटेस्ट एंड होगा।
कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
इसका बिना बातचीत के हल नहीं निकल सकता। और 4 महीने पहले जब पहली बार पहलवान धरने बैठे तभी भी खेल मंत्री जी ने 2 दिन लगातार मीटिंग की थी, उसके बाद कमेटी बनी थी, उसके बाद 3 महीने बाद पहलवान फिर धरने पे जंतर मंदिर पे लगभग 1 महीना ये धरना चला। और फिर अमित शाह जी से जो कि हमारे गृह मंत्री जी, उनसे मुलाकात के बाद आज आप लोगों के माध्यम से और मीडिया के माध्यम से मेरे को पता लगा कि खेल मंत्री ने पहलवानों को बुलाया है। अच्छी बात है, और बिना बातचीत के कोई रास्ता नहीं निकल सकता। और मेरा मानना है कि ये जो आज या कल में जो पहलवान खेल मंत्री से मिलेंगे तो एक सकारात्मक चीजें निकल के आएंगी, और जो भी दिक्कतें लगती है तो
पहले कहा कि हाँ वो एक साथ बैठेंगे, जून 9 को एक बड़ी महापंचायत भी होगी, समर्थन भी मिलेगा। लेकिन उसके बाद जब बातचीत चली तो कहा कि वो इंतजार करेंगे, और आज रेसलर्स बकायदा बातचीत कर रहे हैं अनुराग ठाकुर से। इस वक्त है राकेश टिकैत। सर, पहले तो बात आ रही थी, एक कंफ्यूजन सा हो गया कि आप करनाल की जगह सीधा अनुराग ठाकुर के साथ, रेसलर्स के साथ ही अंदर चले गए। ऐसा तो नहीं है क्योंकि आप साक्षात करनाल में मौजूद हैं, लेकिन आप ये बताइए किस तरह से किसान इसमें शामिल हो रहे हैं, आप लोग किस तरह से मध्यम या मीडिएटर का काम कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, हमने तो उस दिन कहा था कि भारत सरकार बातचीत करना चाहती है और वो बातचीत करें। हमने कुरुक्षेत्र की पंचायत में भी कहा, मुजफ्फरनगर में भी कहा, और यहाँ लोगों ने हिंट दिया था कि नहीं बातचीत होनी चाहिए। और पहलवानों की होम मिनिस्टर साहब से बातचीत हुई और आज फिर दूसरे दौर की उनसे बातचीत चल रही है। तो हमने तो पहले ही हम इस पक्ष में थे कि बातचीत हो और जो उनके मामले हैं उसका समाधान हो।
महिला रेसलर्स का प्रेशर था या आपको लगता है कि किसान जुड़े हैं उससे एक प्रेशर बना है?
महिलाओं का भी प्रेशर था रेसलर का प्रेशर था और जो किसान जुड़े उनका प्रेशर था और पूरे देश से आवाज उठी है और पूरे देश का एक सवाल है कि भाई इनके साथ में जो हुआ वो गलत हुआ है और इनको इंसाफ मिलना चाहिए।
देखिए, जो बातचीत सामने आई है, एक चीज तो ये है कि ब्रिज भूषण के ऊपर वो बोल रहे हैं कि एफआईआर हो, अरेस्ट हो। दूसरा, वो बोल रहे हैं कि कुछ ऐसे पॉइंटर्स हों जहां पे सारे मिलकर एक सहमति बनाएं, पर वो चाह रहे हैं एक क्लीन जो रेसलर्स फेडरेशन है उसमें इलेक्शन हो, ट्रांसपेरेंसी हो। तो किस किस चीजों पे आप लोग उनके साथ खड़े हैं? आपको लगता है कि एक सिंबॉलिक फाइट में ही खड़े हैं आप?
नहीं, हम तो सारी जगह ही खड़े हैं। अब जितना लेट होगा तो उतना ही आंदोलन टूटता रहता है। अब सारे सवाल इन्हीं से पूछे जा रहे। अरे जो आरोप लगाए हैं आप अरेस्ट करके उसकी जांच शुरू करो। दूसरा, जो भी अध्यक्ष का उसका मामला है उस पे जो कानून कहता है आप उस पर बात करो। अब आप करते कुछ हो नहीं और उन्हीं पे एलिगेशन लगा रहे, क्या ले जी हुआ नहीं, ये नहीं हुआ, क्या क्या डिमांड है। 2 महीने उन बच्चों ने आंदोलन चलाया, पूरा देश उनके साथ में खड़ा रहा और आज भी वे बहुत मजबूती के साथ में इस मूवमेंट को आगे लेकर चल रहे हैं।
फिर वो मामला पूरा टल गया जहाँ पे बोला कि मेडल को बहा देंगे, गंगा में समा देंगे, वो वाली बात अब खत्म होगी। आपको लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं सोल्यूशन साइट में है?
देखो, वो कोई आदमी हताश होकर कहीं जा रहे हैं तो उनको वहां से बुला कर जाए। वो एक हादसा होता तो उसको टाला और फिर ये पूरा यहाँ की मीटिंग हुई, चाहे वो मुजफ्फरनगर में हुई, चाहे ये बातचीत हुई, तो एक समाधान की तरफ जा रहा है। अगर सरकार चाहे
सही ट्रैक पे है,
सरकार चाहेगी तो निकल सकता है। सरकार इनको ऐसे ही भगाती रहेगी और पक्षपातपूर्ण कार्रवाई करेगी तो नुकसान का होगा।
तो ब्रिजभूषण के अरेस्ट आपको लगता है होना चाहिए इस वक्त?
क्यों नहीं होने चाहिए भाई? उसको बचाने का पूरा प्लान उसको बचाने का है, इनको गलत साबित करने का है। तो ये तो प्लान हो रही ना, सरकारों की प्लान है,
प्लानिंग है। और इसके लिए वो बोल रहे हैं कि ब्रिजभूषण पे जिस तरह से रेसलर्स भी अड़े हुए हैं कि एक्शन होना चाहते हैं, चाहिए, वहां पे राकेश टिकैत भी वही बोल रहे हैं और वो वहां पे नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि उनका पूरा समर्थन, ये जो पूरा किसानों का समूह है उनका समर्थन रेसलर्स को है, उनकी मांगों को लेकर है। आपको बता दें, बजरंग पुनिया ने भी समर्थन दिया है क्योंकि किसानों की पिटाई हुई है, इन्होंने रोका हुआ था और आज एक प्रदर्शन यहाँ पर भी हो रहा है। लेकिन फिलहाल क्योंकि पूरा जो फोकस है वो रेसलर्स की ये मीटिंग है और इनका कहना है कि इसमें कोई ना कोई सोल्यूशन निकलना चाहिए, लेकिन उसमें ब्रिजभूषण की गिरफ्तारी बहुत होनी जरूरी है।
Paulami Saha also is joining us with more details on that. Paulami, what's your sense really as far as the government's position in all of this is concerned? How far are they willing to go to ensure that this protest ends vis-a-vis their position when it comes to this man in the center of this controversy, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh?
Well, Sneha, what we do know is that the wrestlers have gone to the sports minister after an invitation came from him that he's willing to speak to them, have another round of talks with them. They went to him with certain demands. They're going to him. We don't know what they're going to say inside, but at least when they spoke with us earlier, they've said that they will be demanding the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh as they have been throughout since the FIR has been registered. The 2 FIRs, one in the case of the minors complaint and then in the case of the 6 adult victims and their complaints. And then, of course, they want a proper cleanup of sports bodies, especially the one as far as wrestling is concerned across the country. They also want WFI elections to be held as soon as possible. Now, the government, of course, cannot intervene as far as the investigation is concerned because that is what Delhi Police is conducting. The Delhi Police is slated to file a status report. Either they will be filing a charge sheet against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh if at all they find any merit in the complaints and allegations that have been levelled against him. Evidence, if they find some against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Remember, they've been investigating. They have in fact visited Gonda as well, spoken to staff and employees of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh from where he comes. And then, of course, that is an investigation that is currently underway. So they could either file a charge sheet or they could file a closure report if they find no evidence. The government cannot interfere with that process is what the government is going to tell the wrestlers. So they will have to be patient with the law taking its own course. The FIR has been registered. Remember also that the minor complainant, we hear, has allegedly withdrawn her complaint. She's recorded a new statement under 164 before a judge at the Patiala House Court. What she said in that new statement, again, not very clear. Does that mean the POCSO case could be withdrawn against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? Again, not very clear, because that is, that's all very confidential. It is a minor's word before a judge, so we don't know exactly what she's gone ahead and said a second time round when she's approached a judge at the Patiala House Court to record a new statement. So that is the investigation part of it. But yes, the government is feeling pressure from the wrestlers, this ongoing agitation. There is, of course, outcry across the country as well as to why no action is being taken, especially when details of those, complaints have now been leaked to the press, and we know exactly what the complainants have said in their allegations that they've made against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. There is pressure on the government. They want to diffuse some of that. They want to take care of these protests and ensure that there is no second round or third round of agitation, if you may, as far as the protesting wrestlers are concerned. They want to do that before the Prime Minister proceeds by the third week of June towards the United States. Remember, there's already a gag order which has been unofficially issued against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. It has gone from the top office at the Bharatiya Janata Party. Hence, you heard him not make a single comment when our colleague Nitin Srivastav tried to speak with him earlier today, saying, I have no comments to make, because he's been asked to not make any unnecessary statements while there is an investigation underway. As far as the WFI elections are concerned, the government will say that the ad hoc committee is already charting out the course of those elections. There is no question that those elections will not be held. There will be elections that will be held. There will be a new body, a new team in place. There will be a new WFI president in place as well after those elections are held. So there's absolutely no question of skirting around the demand for a cleanup as far as WFI is concerned, having a new body in place as well. So they'll have to be patient. But remember, this comes in after the intervention from the Home Minister himself. Of course, the Home Minister's office has not confirmed that meeting, but the wrestlers did say that they met with the Home Minister on June 3rd evening, late night in Delhi. They had a conversation with him. They put forth again their demands as well. And now, consequent to that, they're meeting with the sports minister. That's why, in fact, that invitation went out again from the sports minister when he tweeted out last night that I'm reaching out to the wrestlers again. I'm inviting them for a conversation. There is a lot of pressure. There are murmurs within the party as well, Sneha, within the Bharatiya Janata Party as well. Many women MPs who are unofficially communicating with the top brass that they're feeling very uncomfortable about the charges that have been leveled against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, because they have to go back to their constituents. They have to meet with women as well, and they're being questioned as to how are you, like a woman, not standing up against what's happening over here? Why aren't you raising your voice? So there are several members of parliament who have voiced their concerns as well, women members of parliament of the BJP. So the BJP definitely feeling the pressure, and politically they don't want to suffer, because the cops are now rallying behind these wrestlers as well, especially from Western Uttar Pradesh already. There is conversation and talk about the fact that on the day that these wrestlers had reached Haridwar, Har Ki Pauri, to immerse their medals, Sanjeev Balyan, Union Minister, whose MOS Animal Husbandry, who in fact is a strong Jat leader from Western Uttar Pradesh, had in fact spoken to them and tried to dissuade them from immersing their medals in the Ganga, which of course they eventually did. They were persuaded not to immerse their medals. So clearly, on various fronts, the government feels cornered, and hence is now trying to diffuse this agitation as soon as possible. Like I said, they would hope that this is behind them in terms of the controversy that this has generated around the government and its functioning and the party and its position before the Prime Minister leaves for the United States in the third week of June.
Be with us, Paulami. I'll just come back to you in a moment from now. Undoubtedly, like Paulami is saying, this is embarrassment to the government. And that's the reason why another outreach after weeks of protest. I'm going to go straight to Ashutosh also, who's joining us from Anurag Thakur's residence right now. Ashutosh, what's the update that you have for us, who all have reached for the meeting?
So, Sneha, eventually there was some confusion regarding to whether Rakesh Tikait is present or not, and this led to the confusion over because the wrestlers said they will be bringing their CAP leaders along with it, and in fact we saw multiple vehicles, and eventually that looked like Rakesh Tikait. So that led to one confusion. But let me tell you at the moment who all are in the meeting. It is the Union Home Minister's resident right behind me. Who all in the meeting is Sakshi Malik, husband Satyavrat, Bajrang Punia, And that's a very crucial meeting that takes, because we know there is another Mahapanchayat in Vinesh Phogat's native village is being carried out at the moment. There is similar, another protest, of course, by the farmer union that is being carried out in Haryana. But those Mahapanchayat are standing tall behind these wrestlers. So what is going to be the key contention as far as this meeting is concerned? The government has been trying to resolve the deadlock between the wrestlers and the authority. The wrestlers continue to demand the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh by Delhi police, because that is giving one window, not just these wrestlers, but also even the opposition, which is questioning. There's been more than 6 weeks. There has been literally laxity from the Delhi police as far as this investigation is concerned. And in a serious case like POSCO, why a most powerful MP who could possibly even influence this case being, from the ruling party has not been arrested. So that's a key contention. And this is exactly what these wrestlers have been retreating. At the same time, remember, when they withdrew the case, there was also words that came out. They probably even withdrawn from the agitation as they have joining the railway services honorary jobs given by the government after their winning medals. Now, they said our movements continue. Even if we have to sacrifice our jobs, that will be done. You heard Rakesh Tikait saying that there will be some solution between the government and the wrestlers. And of course, remember the day when they all were there at Haridwar, it was the mediation done by Naresh Tikait then, and today you hear Rakesh Tikait. So of course, these CAP leaders and Polemi explain the narrative and the political repercussion, the entire political landscape which could potentially be influenced by what is happening with these wrestlers. So it is not only about Western Uttar Pradesh, but also the state of Haryana at large. And just ahead of Mega 2024 elections, there are multiple dimensions the government and political party probably be thinking about. So let me also take you to these images of Anurag Thakur. We all are waiting for these wrestlers to walk out. Once they come out, we'll hear the clear word whether there have been some really attempt to resolve the deadlock, whether that has been solved or not. Because one demand that we have an only wrestler, there has to be arrest of Brij Bhushan Singh. That will be the one justice. And what the government is saying, let the police do its job. Give it some time, give the investigative agency some time, there will be some sort of conclusion in that. So only because there's a contention is a very narrow demand, is only one. We'll have to see whether there is some issue. Remember, when they met Union Minister Amit Shah, has not been really more than a week. So since there already happened a meeting from the second most powerful authority in the union government, in the BJP, there could be not really very much influence than that what probably Amit Shah would have given to these agitating wrestlers. But since it was an open invitation in the midnight by Anurag Thakur, and within hours you see these wrestlers meeting Anurag Thakur. We can only hope that some solution will come out, some resolution will come out, and the deadlock will end. So it could be just matter of 30 minutes or more, or maybe 60 minutes. Once they step out, we'll hear some final words from these protesting wrestlers.
All right, that continues to be a top focus story. Ashutosh, I'm going to ask you to continue to be with us, also Polemi, as well as Nitin, tracking all of those details for us. The wrestlers are meeting with the sports minister. Will a solution be finally found? Is this really the last outreach of the government towards the wrestlers? If yes, then is there a solution? If no, what next then? It continues to be our top focus. For the moment, it's time for a quick commercial break here.
You are watching India Today.
This Nepali Sherpa guide is carrying a Malaysian climber on his back down from a part of Mount Everest called the Death Zone. Gelji Sherpa says he saved the man's life. He was guiding a client to the summit in mid-May. That's when he saw the Malaysian climber clinging to a rope and shivering in the extreme cold. The Death Zone is a part of the mountain where temperatures can drop below -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Rescues are almost impossible there, authorities say. Gelji convinced his client to give up the summit attempt and began his rare high-altitude rescue.
It took me 5 to 6 hours to get from 8,500 meters above sea level to 7,900. It was very difficult. In places where it was rockier, we could not drag him. We had to carry him on our backs with difficulty.
He eventually got help from another guide, and a helicopter then carried the climber down to base camp.
It was important for us to rescue him even from the summit. Money can be earned any time. Left like that, he could have died. We have saved his life by quitting the summit.
The climber was put on a flight to Malaysia last week. The dramatic rescue comes as Nepal issued a record 478 permits for Everest during this year's climbing season. At least 12 climbers have died, and another 5 are still missing on Everest slopes.
Not the Maharaja, Indigo is still the undisputed king of Indian skies. And the airline with the ubiquitous blue livery is ensuring it holds onto its crown. Indigo is reportedly spooling its engines to launch a 500 aircraft order. It would make it the biggest order till date from India, larger than the 470 aircraft ordered by Air India earlier this year. Indigo is eyeing 500 single-aisle Airbus A320 family aircraft with a sticker price of more than $50 billion. The final price, according to analysts, could be nearly half if discounts for bulk deals are included. Indigo is also planning on buying 25 wide-body aircraft, for which Airbus and Boeing are still in contention with their A330 Neo and 787 models. Indigo is already one of the largest Airbus customers, operating 308 Airbus-made aircraft. Nearly 500 aircraft are still to be delivered. There are fears that the two huge aircraft orders by Indigo and Air India could skew the demand-supply dynamics in the Indian markets. Indian carriers now have the second largest order book for aircraft, behind only the United States. The past few months have seen air traffic rise to zoom past pre-COVID levels as travellers return with a vengeance. Indigo had a market share of nearly 58% in April.
Co-powered by The World Comes Together at Sharda University.
Hello there, very good afternoon. You're watching India Today TV. This is Lunch Break. I'm Sneha Mordani and here are the headlines. Protesting wrestlers arrive at Anurag Thakur's residence for a key meeting. List 3 demands to the centre. Big political news break ahead of 2024 polls. Sources say JDS demands 4 Lok Sabha seats from the BJP. BJP-JDS alliance talks are ongoing. Stalin versus Tamil Nadu governor fight escalates. DMK mouthpiece calls the governor half-boiled. Says not bothered about Tamil Nadu citizens dying in Odisha tragedy. Silent protest outside Home Minister Amit Shah's house. Kuki community stages a protest in Delhi. Awaits Home Minister's invite for talks. India will take on Australia in the World Test Championship final at the Oval today. This is the second consecutive World Test Championship final for India, as Rohit Sharma and company eye to end the 10-year ICC trophy drought. Top story at this hour, the dangle for justice continues after the government invited protesting wrestlers for talks. Bajrang Punia and Sakshi Malik have arrived at Sports Minister Anurag Thakur's residence for round 2 of talks. While sticking to their demand of the WFI chief and BJP MP Bhushan's arrest, they are now seeking fair election of the federation body and that the sports of wrestling be cleaned up. Speaking exclusively to India Today, Sakshi Malik made it clear that their protest hasn't ended and that it's only going to get over with Bhushan's arrest. A new twist has emerged. Meanwhile, India Today has accessed inside details of Delhi Police's probe. One of the minors has now recorded a second statement. Sources say with this, the POCSO case against Bhushan can be dropped. Vinesh Fogarth, alleged molestation by Brij Bhushan at his personal residence on the 16th and 17th of October, a claim countered by Brij Bhushan, who says he was not even there at his house on the dates cited.
साक्षी, मैं कह रहा था आप लोग को इस मीटिंग से कितनी उम्मीदें हैं और कितना आपको लग रहा है कि ये मैटर सॉल्व हो सकता है?
देखो वो तो जी जाके पता चलेगा कि और हमारी तो डिमांड आपको पता ही है शुरुआत से है कि गिरफ्तारी होनी चाहिए और फेडरेशन जो है नीट एंड क्लीन जो विचार वही उसके बंदे ना हो, तो हमारी मांग तो शुरुआत से एक ही है। अभी देखते हैं कि आज गवर्नमेंट क्या प्रपोजल रखती है हमारे आगे और वो प्रपोजल हमें पसंद आया, उसके बाद हम अभी जो खाप पंचायत जो हमारे जुड़े हुए संगठन हैं सारे उनको दिखाएंगे कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये प्रपोजल दिया है। सब खुले उससे होगा, मीडिया को पता होगा, आम पब्लिक को पता होगा, सभी को पता होगा। जब सब एग्री होंगे, राजी होंगे, तभी हम अपना प्रोटेस्ट जो है खत्म करने की सोचेंगे। यूं नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ भी प्रपोजल पकड़ा दिया और हम अपना ही फैसला ले आएंगे आज ठीक कि हाँ हमने तो प्रोटेस्ट खत्म कर दिया। ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। ये तभी खत्म होगा जब सब एग्री होंगे, आम पब्लिक से लेके हमारे सारे समर्थक एग्री होंगे, जब ही प्रोटेस्ट एंड होगा।
इस पर कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का।
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
इसका बिना बातचीत के हल नहीं निकल सकता और 4 महीने पहले जब पहली बार पहलवान धरने बैठे तभी भी खेल मंत्री जी ने 2 दिन लगातार मीटिंग की थी, उसके बाद कमेटी बनी थी, उसके बाद 3 महीने बाद पहलवान फिर धरने पे जंतर मंदिर पे लगभग 1 महीना ये धरना चला और फिर अमित शाह जी से जो कि हमारे गृह मंत्री जी उनसे मुलाकात के बाद आज आप लोगों के माध्यम से और मीडिया के माध्यम से मेरे को पता लगा कि खेल मंत्री ने पहलवानों को बुलाया है। अच्छी बात है और बिना बातचीत के कोई रास्ता नहीं निकल सकता और मेरा मानना है कि ये जो आज या कल में जो पहलवान खेल मंत्री से मिलेंगे तो एक सकारात्मक चीजें निकल के आएंगी और जो भी दिक्कतें लगती है तो वो दूर होंगी।
भारत सरकार बातचीत करना चाहती है और वो बातचीत करें। हमने कुरुक्षेत्र की पंचायत में भी कहा, मुजफ्फरनगर में भी कहा और यहाँ लोगों ने हिंट दिया था कि नहीं बातचीत होनी चाहिए और पहलवानों की होम मिनिस्टर साहब से बातचीत हुई और आज फिर दूसरे दौर की उनसे बातचीत चल रही है। तो हमने तो पहले ही हम इस पक्ष में थे कि बातचीत हो और जो उनके मामले हैं उसका समाधान हो।
महिला रेसलर्स का प्रेशर था या आपको लगता है कि किसान जुड़े हैं उससे एक प्रेशर बना है?
महिलाओं का भी प्रेशर था, रेसलर का प्रेशर था और जो किसान जुड़े उनका प्रेशर था और पूरे देश से आवाज उठी है और पूरे देश का एक सवाल है कि भाई इनके साथ में जो हुआ वो गलत हुआ है और इनको इंसाफ मिलना चाहिए।
देखिए जो बातचीत सामने आई है, एक चीज तो ये है कि ब्रिज भूषण के ऊपर वो बोल रहे हैं कि एफआईआर हो, अरेस्ट हो। दूसरा वो बोल रहे हैं कि कुछ ऐसे पॉइंटर्स हो जहां पे सारे मिलकर एक सहमति बनाए, पर वो चाह रहे हैं एक क्लीन जो रेसलर्स फेडरेशन है उसमें इलेक्शन हो, ट्रांसपेरेंसी हो। तो किस किस चीजों पे आप लोग उनके साथ खड़े हैं? आपको लगता है कि एक सिंबॉलिक फाइट में ही खड़े हैं आप?
नहीं, हम तो सारी जगह ही खड़े हैं। अब जितना लेट होगा तो उतना ही आंदोलन टूटता रहता है। अब सारे सवाल इन्हीं से पूछे जा रहे। अरे जो आरोप लगाए हैं आप अरेस्ट करके उसकी जांच शुरू करो। दूसरा जो भी अध्यक्ष का उसका मामला है उस पे जो कानून कहता है आप उस पर बात करो। अब आप करते कुछ हो नहीं और उन्हीं पे एलिगेशन लगा रहे, क्या ले जी हुआ नहीं, ये नहीं हुआ, क्या क्या डिमांड है। 2 महीने उन बच्चों ने आंदोलन चलाया, पूरा देश उनके साथ में खड़ा रहा और आज भी वे बहुत मजबूती के साथ में इस मूवमेंट को आगे लेकर चल रहे हैं।
फिर वो मामला पूरा टल गया जहाँ पे बोला कि मेडल को बहा देंगे, गंगा में समा देंगे, वो वाली बात अब खत्म होगी? आपको लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं सोल्यूशन साइट में है?
देखो वो कोई आदमी हताश होकर कहीं जा रहे हैं तो उनको वहां से बुला कर जाए। वो एक हादसा होता तो उसको टाला और फिर ये पूरा यहाँ की मीटिंग हुई, चाहे वो मुजफ्फरनगर में हुई, चाहे ये बातचीत हुई, तो एक समाधान की तरफ जा रहा है। अगर सरकार चाहे
सही ट्रैक पे है,
सरकार चाहेगी तो निकल सकता है। सरकार इनको ऐसे ही भगाती रहेगी और पक्षपातपूर्ण कार्रवाई करेगी तो नुकसान का होगा।
तो ब्रिजभूषण की अरेस्ट आपको लगता है होना चाहिए इस वक्त?
क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए भाई? उसको बचाने का पूरा प्लान उसको बचाने का है, इनको गलत साबित करने का है। तो ये तो प्लान हो रही ना, सरकारों की प्लान है।
All right, let's get you the very latest details as far as the wrestlers dangal with the WFI boss is concerned. Brij Bhushan interrogated twice by the Delhi police. This has happened already. Bhushan has countered Vinesh Fogart's testimony. In fact, he said this: Delhi police is to file a status report in the next 2 days or so. Today is the meeting. In 2 days, there will be a detailed report. What about the minor in question? The minor's new statement likely to be given to court. Also, the stringent POCSO case against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh just could be withdrawn is what we're really picking up. Now, statements of over 200 people have been recorded already in this case. We continue to track this story from ground zero at Anurag Thakur's house. That's the sports minister of the country. Ashutosh Mishra is in fact going to be joining us, and so is Nitin Srivastava. First to you, Ashutosh. Give us a quick update about the current situation right now, Ashutosh. Who in fact is at this meeting, who all have reached, and has this meeting really started right now?
So I believe it's more than 30 minutes now since the meeting started between the Minister Anurag Thakur, Sakshi Malik, Satyavrat and Bajrang Punia. We also know there are of course farmers agitation happening in Haryana, but those farmers are also part of, many of them in fact are part of the Khap Panchayat, and these Khap leaders are also gathered in Dadri area near Gautam Budh Nagar. So all these things are happening simultaneously. In fact, before these wrestlers also leave to that Panchayat, if they are planning to, this was very crucial meeting. In fact, since invited by the minister himself, putting out a social media message, in fact, an open message, giving a message of a transparency in the midnight, and these wrestlers within few hours have reached the residence. More than 30 minutes, of course. And we know the contention as far as wrestlers and their demand is concerned is only one. There has to be action against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and since it's involved the POSCO case, why not arresting him? That's the one and only question these wrestlers have been putting. And the moment there is a support by the opposition parties to these wrestlers and their demand, you also see, you know, kind of words that is coming even along against these wrestlers from their different sections. But for now, what we see, the meeting is happening. One expectation, not this only, the government has, and we clear reason, we already narrated by Paul, what could be those potential reasons. The government also hopeful, wrestlers hopeful, and even their Khap leaders are very hopeful that there will be some issue which will resolve the deadlock between these agitation wrestlers and the government. So it could be just matter of few minutes. Even as we speak, there could be potential they will be walking out any moment. So once they come out, we'll hear the word whether this was a meaningful and a positive meeting. Was there any assurance given? Because what one can believe that since they already met the Union Minister Amit Shah, there was already assurance given. The wrestlers put their demand, and despite the fact this agitation continues, they say they are still stand firm what they have been demanding, and there will be further strategy drawn to carry out the protest further, and what will be the blueprint that will be explained further. But for now, of course, to resolve the deadlock, this is happening. We're just waiting for these wrestlers to come out, and that will give a clear picture whether it is heading towards any solution, any resolution, or it is going to escalate further. And if that is the case, what will be the blueprint?
Right. I'm going to thank you for the moment for getting us those details, Ashutosh. We'll of course keep coming back to you and to Nitin for more on that big story that we are tracking very, very closely. The dangle for justice continues. Political support continues as well for the protesting wrestlers. Listening to these series of reactions that have been coming in.
BJP, Mr. Anurag Thakur, Prime Minister Modi know that the yearning for justice or the clarion call for justice of our wrestlers, our sportsmen and women will not go in vain. We and the entire nation are one with them, and we will struggle till the very end. Either this government will stay in power, or they will have to give justice to our wrestlers, or this government will be decimated to ashes. That is what is going to happen.
Not one voice from the government came forward appealing them to not to do so. The sports minister is tweeting now. Where was the sports minister that day when the same medals with which he's been having his pictures clicked, Prime Minister is getting pictures clicked with them. The same medals were being put away in Ganga by these wrestlers. They had gone there, but not one appeal by the sports minister, by Prime Minister, by any minister, by any MP.
धरने पे बैठे लोग, बेटियां बैठी नहीं धरने पर, बीजेपी के लोग सुनते रहे, देखते रहे। और केवल एक नहीं उदाहरण, ये दो उदाहरण नहीं, पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में आप इस तरह के उदाहरण दे सकते हो जहां भेदभाव के साथ सरकार काम कर रही है।
So the government is obviously trying to reach out to the wrestlers. So why is the government now very keen on trying to diffuse this face-off really? Unease, of course, over the long drawn protests for days and weeks together. Imagine Olympians have been sitting on a dharna. Dragging and detaining wrestlers sent a terrible message, a wrong message really. The government doesn't really care. Also being seen as a big women's issue now. It's been made into an issue. Of course, it concerns women and their safety. Global sporting bodies are speaking out. So internationally, there is embarrassment for this particular government because the manner in which global sporting bodies have come out speaking in favor of the wrestlers and calling out the government for being mum. It's hurting the BJP's perception. It's hurting the perception in that sense that the BJP doesn't really care and is egoistic. Dangle for justice continues. We're getting it the very latest as far as this crisis is concerned. Sports wrestlers, in fact, are meeting with the sports minister today, and the meeting is going on at Anurag Thakur's residence. Nitin is there at the location right outside Anurag Thakur's residence, getting us the very latest on that. Nitin, once again to you who all have joined, and where do you really see this headed?
Meeting has already started, and Sakshi Malik is there, Satyavrat is there, Bajrang Punia is already there inside, and I think it's already 30 minutes when meeting was started. As of now, if each and everyone is discussing the ongoing issue within the wrestlers, and that is why Sports Minister Anurag Thakur has personally extended his invitation to all the wrestlers to come and have a meeting and to discuss and to try and resolve all the issues which is going on for a long time now, and that is why this important and crucial meeting is going on. It is interesting to see that will there be any solution or will there be any conclusive meeting today, because remember in January there was a meeting for 2 days and it was around a very long time, and on the very second day when Anurag Thakur met all the wrestlers who were on agitation. After that only the wrestlers have decided on the assurance of ministry that there will be oversight committee, there will be a committee formed by IOA to investigate all the matters, and then only wrestlers have ended their agitation. And for now it's a second time when wrestlers are on agitation and asking Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh to be arrested, and that is what their prominent demand. Basically in this meeting today there are 3 demands which wrestlers have said that we are going to discuss. Is to first of all arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, secondly conduct fair elections of WFI, and thirdly clean the sport. So these are 3 basic demands, and today it is going to be really interesting that what outcome is going to be, because they met Amit Shah already, and after that there is an invitation from Anurag Thakur. So let's see that what result is going to come, and hopefully there will be a press conference jointly by Minister and the wrestlers if there is any positive note from them. Sakshi Malik speaking to us have already made it clear that if there is a positive proposal for the government, we will sit with our Khap Panchayat, our Khap leaders, and discuss if there is anything which can actually we accept, we will accept. Otherwise, this agitation will continue and we will chart out our next action of future course of action.
It's coming back to you for more on that. Nitin, be with us. Ram Kinkar is also now joining us from Charkhi Dadri. He has more details on that story. In fact, the farmer leaders also have been protesting, Ram, for a different issue altogether. This, of course, involves Rakesh Thakur, who's also been seen along with the farmers' groups in support of the wrestlers, and that has essentially helped in building more pressure on this government.
Sneha, right now you can see straight from the visuals how the farmers and especially the leaders of different organizations are here to discuss what is the developments going on. Especially today's the development as the government initiated a step to break this impasse which is going on between wrestlers and the government. And here you can see straight from the visuals how from the dais that the Mahavir Phogat is here, and it is the Belali village. And Belali village, Vinesh Phogat, Geeta, Babita and Rishu, all these international Olympians belongs to this village. That is why they are here and they are making a pressure over the government that this impasse should be break, and right now they are also seeking the justice to the wrestlers. And as my colleague was recalling those demands, and the demands are the same, that arrest of the Brij Bhushan Sharan and fresh and fair election of WFI and other irregularities which is going on in the WFI, it should be eradicated as soon as possible. And they clearly said that if the government will not do anything, then they will intensify their protest not only in Haryana but different parts of the country. And that is why they are here, and after some time they will make some good resolutions especially for the wrestlers' justice. Sneha.
All right. Nitin is also there with us, getting us more details on that. Nitin, in fact, from the conversations also that you have had with the wrestlers, including Sakshi Malik, is that there is no walking that extra mile or relenting as far as their set of demands concerned. They already have another set of demands that they put before the centre, vis-a-vis the kind of action that they expect from Brij Bhushan, against Brij Bhushan.
Well, there are two things actually. First of all, that government is willing to end this agitation. But remember, the investigation is pending with police. So that is not in the hand of government. It is a police process. Again, remember that the complainant of the POCSO Act, the minor one, she has recorded a fresh statement in the court, and that will be heard by court only. And then only we will come to know that what exactly she has recorded in her fresh statement. Secondly, that SIT has gone to Gonda. They have questioned the relatives of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, some of the staff of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and now they are preparing their status report. In a day or two, they will submit that status report in the court. So that is why it is going to be very interesting that what exactly the minor has said in her fresh statement. If she has taken back the complaint, or she has just amended her statement, or have recorded something new in her statement. So that is why as of now there is no confirmation on that front, but absolutely this meeting which is going on at Anurag Thakur residence, it is very important. Why? Because government has now called up the wrestlers for the very first time to have an official dialogue. Remember, PT Usha was there at Jantar Mantar and to discuss and have a dialogue to end this agitation. She tried to convince all the athletes who were on agitation at Dharna at Jantar Mantar, but at that very time there was no conclusion. That meeting was inconclusive. So after that, officially Anurag Thakur, this invitation has come up in a very big development as far as this agitation is concerned. And also the wrestlers, when I spoke to them in morning, they were pretty assured that if government is calling us, there will be some kind of solution. So let's see what outcome is coming after the meeting. Most likely there will be a press conference if everything is sorted out, because remember there was a deadline of 9th of June. Rakesh Tikat in Kurukshetra have made it clear that there will be no protest till 9th of June, and if government is ready to take any action in this regard, we will stop each and everything. And if there is no action will be taken, we will definitely take a call and we will go back again Jantar Mantar.
We'll get a sense of that as well from Ram Kinkar, who is in fact tracking all of those developments too, and from you, Nitin. Let's talk about the probe details that India Today has accessed. Delhi police to submit the status report in 1 or 2 days is what we've been given to understand. The minor has recorded the second police statement. The chances are that the POCSO case against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh could be withdrawn in that case, is what we've been given to understand. Also, the Delhi police to probe Vinesh Fogart's assault claims. Remember, she said that she was assaulted at Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's residence. He says, I wasn't even there. Vinesh Fogart claims Brij Bhushan molested her. This happened on the 16th and 17th of October, way back in 2017. Brij Bhushan is countering. Vinesh Fogart says he wasn't even there at home at that point in time. Ram Kinkir is also now joining us. The farmers are in fact sitting on a dharna there. They're protesting. Ram, give us a sense of what their strategy is going to be vis-a-vis their support to the wrestlers, given that, like I had said earlier also, the farmers backing the wrestlers has come as a pressure tactic that seems to have worked on the government, and that's the reason why they're walking that extra mile to reach out to the wrestlers again, isn't it?
Right, Sneha, joining with one of the person who is coming here. सबसे पहले आप ये बताइए कि आप लोगों की मांगे क्या है, ये पंचायत आज क्यों हो रही है?
ये पंचायत जो बेटियों ने, जो पहलवान बेटियों का जो मुद्दा है, उस मुद्दे के ऊपर ये समर्थन के लिए पंचायत है। वो पहलवान बेटे जो भी कॉल करेंगे, भाई दिल्ली आना तो दिल्ली जाएंगे, यहाँ ये वो कह देंगे भाई हमारा फैसला हो गया तो फैसला हो गया। जो समर्थन की बात है, ये इलाके, ये उनका जन्म की ये मिट्टी है, इस मिट्टी में पैदा हुई है, हम उनके माँ बाप हैं, तो हमारी सबसे बड़ी जिम्मेवारी बनती है उनकी रक्षा करना।
इससे पहले जो किसानों का समर्थन था, राकेश टिकैत का समर्थन था, बाद में जब पहलवान जो है नौकरी ज्वाइन करते हैं तो उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा हम बाहर से समर्थन दे रहे हैं, तो ऐसी भी चीजें सामने आई?
ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, ये सिर्फ मीडिया की उपज है। वो आंदोलन एज इट इज है, जो उनके साथ जाती है उनका कोई फैसला नहीं हुआ। जब तक ब्रिज भूषण की गिरफ्तारी नहीं होगी, वो हमारी बेटी है, हमारी भी तो बात मानती है, जो सही बात होगी हमारी मानी जाएगी। तो वो बेटियां जो भी कॉल करेंगी, आपको दिल्ली आना।
आज खिलाड़ियों के साथ जो है स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर का मीटिंग भी हुआ और उस मीटिंग में ऐसा लगा कि सब चीजें अब ठीक ट्रैक पर आ गई हैं, यानी दूसरी बार, एक बार जनवरी में बैठक हुई और अब दूसरी बार फिर बैठक हुई है। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि जो आप लोग कर रहे हैं फिर आगे अब कैसे चलेगा, क्योंकि सरकार तो बातचीत शुरू कर चुकी है?
ये सरकार बड़ी निकम्मी हठधर्मी है, ऐसे धीरे से मानने वाली नहीं है। 1.5 साल आंदोलन, किसान आंदोलन है, उसकी नहीं माननी। ये मीटिंगें चलती रहती हैं, इनकी कोई नहीं, ये झूठे हैं। ब्रिज भूषण को गिरफ्तार करेगी नहीं सरकार जब तक ये बात समाधान नहीं होगी।
तो अगर जब तक गिरफ्तारी नहीं होगी तब तक आपका क्या स्ट्रेटेजी रहेगा, रणनीति क्या?
अभी पंचायतों में फैसला होगा, हमारी सरदारी बैठी है, जो फैसला लेगी हम उसके साथ हैं।
यहाँ पर और कौन कौन सी खाप हैं, कितने लोग हैं बताइए?
शोरान खाप है, फोगाट खाप है, हवेली खाप है, 15 खाप है, जो भी खापें हैं सारी खापें दादरी जिले की यहाँ मौजूद हैं। उनके प्रधान यहाँ हैं, उनके सेक्रेटरी यहाँ, प्रवक्ता यहाँ हैं, और जो भी संगठन है, व्यापारी संगठन और कर्मचारी संगठन सभी यहाँ हैं।
So, Sneha, you can see that how different type of khaf which have a stronghold in Haryana districts, in every part of Haryana, they are here, their leaders are here, and after some time, I think by the evening, they will take a decision over this issue, because after the government's conversation with the wrestlers, they will decide a point of action and point of their strategy for further course of action.
All right, Sneha, that's right, Ram. I'm going to thank you for the moment. We'll of course keep coming back to you, Nitin, Ashutosh, Paulami Saha, tracking all of those details for us. It's a big story. We're keeping a close eye on. The wrestlers are meeting Anurag Thakur, the sports minister. But after the break, we are going to talk about the Odisha train tragedy, the toll of which stands at 288. The CBI has filed an FIR under sections relevant to negligence and conspiracy as well.
Pranav Salkar saw his mother struggle to get water after coming back from work every day. The nearest source of water was half a kilometer away. Pained by this sight, the 14-year-old took matters into his own hands. He started digging a well, and in 4 days, he struck gold.
त्याला मी एक सूचना दिली होती काही ते खून कण थोडंसा पाणी लागतो का आपण बघूया. नंतर आम्ही मग कामावर जायची सुरुवात केली. मग त्यांनी मनापासून सुरुवात केली खोदायला. त्याच्याकरता त्यांनी खोदता 3-4 दिवस त्यांनी लावले आणि पाणी लागलं.
Pranav's parents speak fondly of their son's efforts. They recount how he had made a ladder to dig out soil from the pit.
आम्ही मजुरी करतो आणि संध्याकाळी येतो काम करून. मग मला त्रास होतो म्हणून माझ्या मुलाने विहीर खोदली 4 दिवसात. मला आनंद वाटतो.
ते पाणी तुम्ही वापरता का?
त्या पाणी आम्ही वापरतो.
Kelve village in Palghar gets piped water thrice a week. To Pranav's parents, who work as labourers, the well is a relief. And it goes without saying, Pranav is now a hero in his village. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, some big news coming in. Cobra Battalion soldiers encounter with Naxals in Naxalite Battalion zone underway. This is the big news that we're currently tracking. Bomb blasts and gunshots being heard in the border of Bijapur and Sukma districts. News of encounter with Naxalites Battalion number 1 for the last 2 hours. We hear official confirmation that's yet to come, but this is initial reports that we get. Big encounter that's currently underway in Chhattisgarh. Cobra Battalion soldiers encounter that's currently on for the last 2 hours with Naxals, a Naxalites Battalion zone that's currently underway. This is the Naxalites Battalion zone where we hear there's been 2 hours of non-stop encounter. In fact, bomb blasts and gunshots are being extensively heard in the border. Sumi, who's our correspondent from the area, tracking those developments, joining us live. Sumi, tell us more on the tense situation between the Cobra Battalion soldiers encounter, we believe, with Naxals at the Naxalites Battalion zone that's currently underway. Give us more information.
Yes, absolutely. As you correctly pointed out, the Cobra battalion is now having an ambush with the Naxals in the area, and this is in Pegarpalli. It falls between Sukma and Bijapur districts of the southern part of Chhattisgarh in the Bastar division, and that's where the gunshots and bombing can be heard from the area. However, we are still awaiting the official confirmation. But what we are also getting to know is that after the ambush was launched, it had been going on for more than 2 hours, but now there is only a search operation that is underway after it was found out the Naxals are on the run. In fact, Naxals have absconded the entire area, and in fact, there is a search operation that has been launched by the CRPF and also STF. The Special Task Force is also there along with the DRG, that is Intelligence Guard. So these three forces are on the operation, and in fact they have launched a search operation for the presence of Hidma. Remember, Hidma had been one of the most wanted Naxal commandos, and after the input was received about the presence of Hidma in the area, 2 days before, the CRPF, the DRG and the STF forces were deployed there in the area, and since this morning, early in the morning, the operation had been going.
Right, Sumi, thank you very much for joining us. But right now, big encounter that's currently underway in Chhattisgarh. Our reporter bringing us the latest. We're going to continue tracking those developments. For now, moving forward to huge protest by Hindu groups in Kolhapur. These are protests that have been reported by Hindu groups today in Kolhapur. In Kolhapur, ban called by the Hindu. In fact, we see the thousands of protesters on the streets there. 3 youngsters. What triggered was 3 youngsters putting up a WhatsApp status just yesterday, which led to dispute between the 2 communities. After status went viral, there was stone pelting reported. FIR was registered against them. The boys who had put a status is said to be a juvenile. In fact, all 3 boys are juveniles, underage. Today, a huge protest is currently being held with regards to this case in Kolhapur. Those are the images coming in. Saurabh Bhaktania joining us for more on that. Saurabh, we are seeing Kolhapur, Maharashtra completely in a mess with protesters there running amok. Tell us what really triggered. What exactly was that WhatsApp status that triggered tensions in the area between communities?
So, well, Nabila, let me tell you, the situation is right now pretty much tensed in Kolhapur. You remember that on Sunday, there were posters of Aurangzeb which were actually shown off during a procession in Ahmednagar, which was tension in the area. And now what has happened is there were 3 young kids, they are juvenile. They have put up a WhatsApp status of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb and Tipu Sultan. Now, this particular WhatsApp status put up by the juvenile went viral in the area in Kolhapur yesterday. The police complaint was filed, but the Hindu groups immediately demanded that all should be arrested in this particular case. The police tried to explain to them that they are juvenile, they cannot be arrested, they have to be sent to children remand home. But after which the Hindu groups now have demanded immediate arrest in this particular case, immediate action in this particular matter, and they also called off for an entire band of Kolhapur. All the shops and everything today in Kolhapur is shut down, let me tell you, but thousands of Hindu groups people are actually protesting the Shivaji Maharaj Chowk in Kolhapur. But now it has turned violent. Let me tell you, the latest information, Nabila, right now, which is coming is that the police had to escort to Lathi Charge. Such is the situation right now because there are thousands and thousands of protesters right now in Kolhapur. All the shops and everything is shut down, but the protest actually went violent, and therefore the police had to escort to Lathi Charge. You have been told that more forces from the nearby districts have been called out right now to the particular place, and they are trying to calm down the situation.
These visuals are looking quite worrying. Look at the way protesters are running amok, escaping from the police as they initiate Lathi Charge. We see the police batons literally chasing away those protesters from the spot, but it seems like a state of commotion, a law and order situation that we see extensively at the Kolhapur district in Maharashtra. We believe some right-wing outfits in Kolhapur city have called for Kolhapur Bandh to protest against a social media status that's disrespected a national icon. In fact, all three boys who have been held for putting up that controversial status are juveniles, and this has led to huge protests and a Bandh call that's been made by right-wing Hindu groups and asking for strict action to be taken on those responsible as well. We see police personnel deployed in hordes to control that mob and stop the escalating tensions. Let me cut across to Saurabh Bhaktania for more. Saurabh, tell us exactly, would you be able to tell us how controversial was that status? What exactly did it instigate?
Well, Nabila, let me tell you, just remind you about the Ahmednagar incident where there was a procession on Sunday, and that time the posters of Aurangzeb were flashed by 4 Muslim youths, and that time the FIR was registered. In fact, let me tell you, the Maharashtra Chief Minister and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister had warned of strict action and FIR was filed. Now, we have a similar incident, and this particular incident, let me tell you, Nabila, there are 3 juveniles. They are minors who have done this. They actually put up a status of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Emperor, and Tipu Sultan. What they have done is they have put up an inciting social media message, and they have put it on the...
Stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across. Saurabh, stay with us. I'm going to cut across to some big breaking news coming in on the wrestlers' protest and their meeting currently with the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur. All right, wrestlers meeting inside. Updates that's coming in. Wrestlers have made their demand of an arrest. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh from the minister's end. Talks are not conclusive. This is what the wrestlers claim. There's no breakthrough in the wrestlers meeting. Wrestlers meeting inside update that we've got. They've made their demands of an arrest of Brij Bhushan. They say that unless and until Brij Bhushan is arrested, they will not call off their protest. But at this point, their meeting with the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur, we believe, has been inconclusive. This is the latest update we get. As no breakthrough that comes in the wrestlers' protest, we see that wrestlers at this point are meeting with Anurag Thakur, the Sports Minister, and they say that the talks have not been fruitful. I'm going to quickly cut across to Palmi Saha, who's right outside Anurag Thakur's residence, the Sports Minister who's meeting with the top wrestlers, Bajrang Punia, Vinesh Phogat and Sakshi Malik. Tell us more, Palmi. We believe the wrestlers have stuck to their stand. Arrest Brij Bhushan. If not, we won't call off our protest. They claim it's inconclusive, that meeting that's happened today. Tell us more.
Well, that meeting is still underway, Nabila. This is Anurag Thakur's residence. I'll ask my camera person Pavan to show you the pictures. As you can see, there is a huge media contingent that's present over here. Basically, Sakshi Malik, Bajrang Punia and Satyavrat, who is Sakshi Malik's husband, also a wrestler, they're present in this meeting, which has been going on since 11 a.m. this morning. So it's been about an hour and a half since this meeting has been underway. And what sources are telling our colleagues who are, of course, tracking this, Nitin Srivastav, my colleague, has been speaking with the wrestlers. The wrestlers are putting forth the demand, and they're adamant on the demand that arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. They're quite adamant on that demand, and that is something that the government cannot promise them, Nabila, because it is a Delhi police investigation which is currently underway. The government cannot promise arrest of an individual who the Delhi police is investigating. So on that regard, obviously the talks are not moving forward. They remain inconclusive at the moment, but they're not over. The meeting is not over as of yet. Remember that this was an invitation that went out from the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur late last night to the protesting wrestlers. He tweeted about it as well, and he said that he is calling them forward for another round of talks, which they've accepted and they've come here. But since they remain adamant on their primary demand, which is arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the government is likely to tell them, and it's possible that the Sports Minister is in fact communicating the same to them while we're outside over here, that it is an ongoing investigation. The law has to take its own course. The FIRs have been registered in this matter, one in the case of the minors' complaint and then in the other in the case of the adult victims and their complaint. FIRs have been lodged. The Delhi police is investigating. The Delhi police is speaking to witnesses as well. Remember, because these incidents date from 2012 to 2022.
Update
so
yesterday
it is a 10-year period over which
may have come as a big twist for the wrestlers. In fact, the update that came in yesterday about that minor girl withdrawing her initial complaint that she's recorded with the POCSO officials. She's gone on to re-record her statement, and now it's up to the court to decide the severity of her claims. So that's given a whole new dimension to these to the wrestlers' issue itself. Has that come as a setback? Do you sense that the wrestlers are now slightly restless with the fact that the POCSO case might just be diluted, considering that young girl has withdrawn her initial statement, re-recorded another one? We're not too sure the gravity of the second statement or the severity of it.
Well, basically, as far as the minor's complaint is concerned, we do know that she's approached a judge at Patiala House Court on June 1st and re-recorded her statement. What that new statement has in it, we don't know. So we don't know the contents of it, because obviously it is a minor statement before a magistrate, and it is under 164. Hence, it has been kept confidential. Whether that means that POCSO will be withdrawn, has she gone back on her initial complaint of sexual harassment against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, all of those details yet remain to be ascertained. So clearly that is unclear, but definitely if that results in POCSO being withdrawn, again, Delhi police has not confirmed the same. If that results in POCSO being withdrawn, then clearly it will be a setback for the wrestlers, because that is the most stringent charge against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Now, the FIR cannot be withdrawn on the basis of a new statement which has been recorded, because she has gone ahead and recorded her statement earlier as well before the Delhi police. So the FIR stands at the moment. It totally depends on what exactly she's gone ahead and recorded in that new statement that she's made allegedly before a judge at the Patiala House Court on June 1st, the details of which are not known at the moment. But the wrestlers obviously getting a little restless, because this agitation has been ongoing since the month of January. They have had 2 rounds of protests already, agitation. This is the second round of meeting that they're having with the sports minister. Just a few days ago, they said that they'd met with the home minister as well on June 3rd, late night at his residence in Delhi. Again, that meeting was said to be inconclusive as well, because the wrestlers again demanded the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, something that the government, again, like I say, cannot promise them. It is a matter of investigation. It is a matter that the Delhi police is investigating. The Delhi police is yet to file a status report in the case. It remains to be seen if they find evidence against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, which corroborates the complaints which have been made, the allegations which have been made by the victims in these cases. Then, of course, they go ahead and file a charge sheet. If they find no evidence, they'll file a closure report. So until the Delhi police concludes their investigation, it's not a promise that the government can make the wrestlers.
All right. At this point, what we see, Palami, is that the wrestlers have been invited by the government itself for talks. But what we're not clear of is what exactly is the government expecting of the wrestlers. They want them to call off their protest, which they have. They aren't sitting in dharna any longer. They've all gone back to their official duties. They're with the Indian Railways, performing their duties as part of that government job they've been given. So what exactly is the government's proposal here to the wrestlers?
Well, as far as the wrestlers are concerned, they're not physically sitting anywhere on dharna at the moment, but they do want to. There are reports that they've approached, again, Delhi police seeking permission to sit at Jantar Mantar. They earlier, remember, before they'd gone to Haridwar to immerse their medals in the Ganga, which they were persuaded against eventually, they had said that they want to, in fact, sit on fast until death at India Gate. So they want to carry on with their agitation. Yes, they have reported back to duty in the Railways Department, because that was a notice that came to them. They rejoined duty on the 31st of May, because obviously they don't want any sort of punitive action which is taken against them as far as their jobs are concerned. But they want to carry forward with their agitation, and hence, because they continue to be very adamant on their demand, there are CABs that are meeting, there are Mahapanchayats that are being organized in Haryana, in Western Uttar Pradesh. Clearly, they continue to build pressure on the government. Hence, the government's proposal before the wrestlers is likely to be that you have to wait for the law to take its own course. FIRs have been registered. We cannot just go ahead and arrest someone that is not with us at the moment. As the government, as the sports ministry, what we can tell you is that yes, we're looking at a cleanup of the system. We are going to hold those elections to, in fact, the World Wrestling Federation of India. The Wrestling Federation of India, I beg your pardon, the WFI. We're also ensuring that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh isn't the man who's conducting the day-to-day affairs of the wrestling body at the moment. There's an oversight committee which is in fact now going to organize those elections as well. So they're in fact organizing the timeline as far as these elections are concerned. An ad hoc committee has presented its report. The oversight committee has heard the complaints of these individual wrestlers as well. They've gone forward and of course presented their complaints and the details of it before this oversight committee as well. The report of it has not been made public because the government says that, again, very sensitive information about them, which is why the FIRs were initially kept under sealed cover as well, and the Delhi police did not in fact share that FIR with the press. So clearly these are aspects in which the government is able to move forward. The government is going to tell them that there are very important tournaments that are coming up. The Asian Games are coming up in the month of July. Next year is the Olympics. We need to start preparing for this. Certain trials were to be held in Uttar Pradesh because obviously Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh hails from the state of Uttar Pradesh and he has as much clout in certain parts of Uttar Pradesh.
There's huge political repercussions. Of course, there is going to be consequence if at all Brij Bhushan is arrested, because a man holds that kind of influence. He wields clout across at least 5 constituencies we hear, out of which at least 4 of them belong to the BJP. I'm going to cut across to Nitin. Stay with us, Pallavi. Just a moment. We're cutting across to Nitin, our correspondent, speaking with Sakshi Malik a little earlier today. Here's the conversation.
साक्षी, मैं कह रहा था आप लोग को इस मीटिंग से कितनी उम्मीदें हैं और कितना आपको लग रहा है कि ये मैटर सॉल्व हो सकता है?
देखो, वो तो चीज आके पता चलेगा कि और हमारी तो डिमांड आपको पता ही है शुरुआत से कि गिरफ्तारी होनी चाहिए और फेडरेशन जो है नीट एंड क्लीन, जो बिचा वही उसके बंदे ना हो। तो हमारी मांग तो शुरुआत से एक ही है। अभी देखते हैं कि आज गवर्नमेंट क्या प्रपोजल रखती है हमारे आगे, और वो प्रपोजल हमें पसंद आया उसके बाद हम अपनी जो खाप पंचायत जो हमारे जुड़े हुए संगठन हैं सारे, उनको दिखाएंगे कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये प्रपोजल दिया है। सब खुले उससे होगा, मीडिया को पता होगा, आम पब्लिक को पता होगा, सभी को पता होगा। जब सब एग्री होंगे, राजी होंगे, तभी हम अपना प्रोटेस्ट जो है खत्म करने की सोचेंगे। यूं नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ भी प्रपोजल पकड़ा दिया और हम अपना ही फैसला ले आएंगे आज ठीक कि हाँ हमने तो प्रोटेस्ट खत्म कर दिया। ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। ये तभी खत्म होगा जब सब एग्री होंगे, आम पब्लिक से लेके हमारे सारे समर्थक एग्री होंगे, जब ही प्रोटेस्ट एंड होगा।
All right. Well, we heard Sakshi Malik's statement there, but at this point, there's no breakthrough so far with the government, as the wrestlers are currently at Sports Minister Anurag Thakur's residence. We believe that there's nothing fruitful that's come out of it as yet. But Pallavi is right there at the spot. She has been tracking the inside details. As far as we hear, the wrestlers haven't yet appeared. They're still inside the Sports Minister's residence. Pallavi, the government is really trying hard for them to call off their protest. If you could define for us, how exactly are these protesters still continuing their protest remotely? While they resume their duties at the railways, we believe that they continue their satyagraha. They've been commenting, giving phone-in interviews with our reporters and speaking to the media extensively, saying we will not back off until Brij Bhushan is arrested. But how likely is an arrest at all? Has the government spoken anything on those lines at all with them?
Nabila, to answer the second part of your question, as far as the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is concerned, we believe that the wrestlers are still pressing forth with that demand as they speak with the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur at his residence, where I'm standing right now. I'm outside his residence. And as far as their agitation is concerned, while they're not physically sitting at a Jantar Mantar or anywhere else for that matter, agitating and protesting against, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, they continue to press forth with that demand. They're trying to build pressure on the government as well. Remember that they have tried to enlist the support of various CAPs as well. Mahapanchayats have been held in Uttar Pradesh and Haryana in support of these protesting wrestlers as well, in order to in fact ensure that there is pressure on the government, and that pressure is being felt by the government at the political level, because they cannot afford to in fact antagonize a huge chunk of their vote bank, which is a very crucial and an influential chunk. And hence the government is making this outreach towards the protest protesting wrestlers. The wrestlers, of course, said that they met with the Union Home Minister just a few days ago on June 3rd at his residence. Again, a long conversation that, in fact, engaged again the same demand from the wrestlers: arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Hence, that meeting was inconclusive. Some reports say that that meeting lasted for close to about 2 hours when it started at about 11 p.m. And now this meeting, which has been going on since 11 a.m. this morning, Nabila.
All right. Paulami, thank you very much for joining us. Paulami is right there in front of the Sports Minister's residence, Anurag Thakur, as he still continues his meeting with those wrestlers. So far, no positive outcome, or no outcome at all, is what the wrestlers say. This is the initial information, inside information that India Today has accessed. But we're, of course, going to stay on the story, slipping into a short break right on that. On the other side, a quick glimpse into Apple launching its most anticipated product since iPhone in 2007, augmented reality headset set to revolutionize work and entertainment. Stay with us.
India's economy raced ahead of all expectations last year. Data released this evening showed a 7.2% GDP growth rate in 22-23, 20 basis points higher than the RBI's earlier estimates of 7%. Though the figure is lower than last year, it puts India on top of other nations, especially the West, which is threatened by an economic slowdown. The figure is also way higher than 3%, which China reported in 2022. There was some good news in the Jan to March quarter as well, with GDP growth clocking in at 6.1%. Importantly, the quarter witnessed a substantial rise in manufacturing and construction activity, setting the stage for the next few months.
Services sector growth has maintained its momentum. Industrial sector growth rate positive, but slowing compared to 22 because of the rise in commodity prices in the course of 22-23. And also the rise in interest rates, but the momentum in the fourth quarter, as you could see from the data, in terms of manufacturing growth, was at 4.5%, and the utility and the core sectors grew 6.9%. So overall, the manufacturing sector has ended its 2 quarters of year-on-year contraction in Q2 and Q3 and resumed a pretty brisk positive growth rate in Q4. Exports of goods and services as a percentage of GDP, as you can see from the top right, is at its highest in about 8 years at 23.5% of GDP.
All right, now Apple has unveiled quite a costly augmented reality headset called the Vision Pro, in quite a riskiest bet ever since its introduction of the iPhone more than a decade ago. Apple is now barging into that market, which has so far been dominated by Meta. Let's have a look.
Apple Vision Pro.
Apple unveiled its hotly anticipated augmented reality headset on Monday, its riskiest and biggest bet since the iPhone debuted more than a decade ago. The Vision Pro poses a direct challenge to Meta's line of mixed and virtual reality devices. And with a price tag that will start at $3,499, the Vision Pro will cost more than 3 times Meta's priciest headset when it launches next year. Apple CEO Tim Cook.
It's the first Apple product you look through and not at. Vision Pro feels familiar, yet it's entirely new. You can see, hear, and interact with digital content just like it's in your physical space.
Apple said that users of the Vision Pro will be able to select content inside the goggles with their eyes, tap their fingers together to click, and gently flick to scroll, while also using a 3-dimensional camera and microphone system to capture videos and pictures that can be viewed in 3D later. In its most striking difference from Meta's headsets, the device also has an exterior display that shows the user's eyes to people in the outside world.
So in the same way that Mac introduced us to personal computing and iPhone introduced us to mobile computing, Apple Vision Pro will introduce us to spatial computing.
The exterior screen goes dark when a user is fully immersed in a virtual world. When a person approaches a user who is in a full virtual mode, the headset will show both the user and the outside person to each other. For work uses, Apple showed how the headset can be used with a trackpad and keyboard to work like a traditional computer with multiple displays. The Vision Pro has 2 hours of use with an external battery, similar to Meta's top-of-the-line Quest Pro mixed reality device. Besides the headset, Apple also displayed a raft of new products and features, including a 15-inch MacBook Air, a powerful chip called M2 Ultra, and improvements to its iOS software and autocorrect feature. Shares of the iPhone maker rose 2% to hit a record high ahead of the launch, but shares ended slightly lower after the announcement.
All right, quite a fancy product by Apple there that brings you scarily virtually closer to reality. The price is quite high, but Apple fans, what shall I say, already queuing up to take a good look at contemplating a buy of that expensive product. We're going to slip into a short break. On the other side, I'm taking you through all the updates. In fact, Palmi Saha joins us right outside the Sports Minister's residence, Anurag Thakur, where he's meeting with those wrestlers and hearing them out as they list their 3 very key demands.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 41 and minimum 27 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 29 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 43 and minimum 29 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 33 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 39 and minimum 29 degrees.
Powered by The world comes together at Sharda University.
A very good afternoon. You're watching India Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. Let me start with the headlines. Protesting wrestlers have arrived at Anurag Thakur's residence for a key meet. Lists 3 demands to the centre. To top it, they want Brij Bhushan arrested with immediate effect. A massive protest in Maharashtra's Kolhapur. Big flare-up after Hindu procession. Protesters allegedly attacked shops. Cops resort to lathi charge. Stalin versus Tamil Nadu governor fight only escalating. DMK mouthpiece calls the governor half-boiled. Says not bothered about Tamil Nadu citizens dying in Odisha. The tragedy that's happened, the governor itself has ignored, claims the DMK. Silent protests outside Home Minister Amit Shah's house. Kuki community stages a protest in Delhi. Awaits Home Minister to invite them for talks. India will take on Australia in the World Test Championship finals at the Oval today. This is the second consecutive WTC finals for India as Rohit Sharma and co eye to end 10-year ICC trophy drought. All right, our top wrestlers of India are currently at the Sports Minister's residence. Anurag Thakur has invited them for talks. They've placed their 3 demands before him, and it's now important to see how the government responds to them. So far, the information we have is that there's no breakthrough between the wrestlers and the centre yet. Paulami Saha, who's right there on ground, brings us every inside detail of the ongoing meeting with the wrestlers and the government. Paulami, do you believe that today the deadlock will finally end? Take it away.
Right, Nabila, obviously the government is hoping that there should be some sort of breakthrough at least after this meeting, which has been ongoing since about 11 a.m. this morning. I'm standing right outside Anurag Thakur's residence, and right behind me is where that meeting has been underway since 11 a.m. Sakshi Malik, Bajrang Punia and Satyabrat, who is Sakshi Malik's husband, also a wrestler, they've arrived over here at about 11 a.m. this morning. Bajrang Punia was the first to drive in, followed by Sakshi Malik, and they've been in conversation with Anurag Thakur after the government extended an invitation to the protesting wrestlers to hold a second round of talks. Now, this, of course, comes after a very crucial meeting that the wrestlers also had with Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah late on June 3rd evening. Now, the wrestlers remain adamant on their demand that they should and the government should immediately, in fact, arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, WFI chief, who has been alleged of sexual harassment and seeking sexual favors. But, of course, the government says that's not up to them. Delhi police is investigating this matter. Now, Sakshi Malik spoke exclusively to India Today to my colleague Nitin Srivastav, and she again reiterated the demands of in fact, the protesting wrestlers, which includes the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, also a clean-up of the Wrestling Federation, the sport of wrestling in India, also demanding fair election to the top wrestling body, which is the Wrestling Federation of India. Sakshi Malik, of course, said that their agitation is not over and they continue to demand the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Listen into this exclusive conversation that Sakshi had with my colleague Nitin Srivastav. Also, Nitin spoke with Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who wasn't willing to comment much. Listen in.
साक्षी, मैं कह रहा था आप लोग को इस मीटिंग से कितनी उम्मीदें हैं और कितना आपको लग रहा है कि ये मैटर सॉल्व हो सकता है?
देखो, वो तो जी जाके पता चलेगा कि और हमारी तो डिमांड आपको पता ही है शुरुआत से है कि गिरफ्तारी होनी चाहिए और फेडरेशन जो है नीट एंड क्लीन, जो बिचा वही उसके बंदे ना हो। तो हमारी मांग तो शुरुआत से एक ही है। अभी देखते हैं कि आज गवर्नमेंट क्या प्रपोजल रखती है हमारे आगे, और वो प्रपोजल हमें पसंद आया उसके बाद हम अभी जो खाप पंचायत जो हमारे जुड़े हुए संगठन हैं सारे, उनको दिखाएंगे कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये प्रपोजल दिया है। सब खुले उससे होगा, मीडिया को पता होगा, आम पब्लिक को पता होगा, सभी को पता होगा। जब सब एग्री होंगे, राजी होंगे, तभी हम अपना प्रोटेस्ट जो है खत्म करने की सोचेंगे। यूं नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ भी प्रपोजल पकड़ा दिया और हम अपना ही फैसला ले आएंगे आज ठीक कि हाँ हमने तो प्रोटेस्ट खत्म कर दिया। ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। ये तभी खत्म होगा जब सब एग्री होंगे, आम पब्लिक से लेके हमारे सारे समर्थक एग्री होंगे, जब ही प्रोटेस्ट एंड होगा।
कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
कोई कमेंट नहीं किसी प्रकार का
जी, लेकिन सर पिछली बार मीटिंग हुई थी उससे कुछ रास्ता निकला था?
कोई कमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, कोई कमेंट नहीं।
अच्छा,
My colleague Ashutosh Mishra is now joining me live from outside Anurag Thakur's residence as well. Ashutosh, that meeting has been underway for a few hours now. Is there likely to be a breakthrough? Because the wrestlers, it seems, are adamant on their demand, arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh.
Well, Paulami, as far as their demand is concerned, remember, even after meeting the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who's the second in command in the BJP, and again, second most powerful man in the union government, and despite we don't see any resolution, one can really expect that when the Home Minister called these agitating wrestlers, there must have been some assurance over as far as their demands are concerned, including arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. But if you see, within a week, a union minister midnight in ensuring a public, transparency, putting out a social media message that we are inviting these wrestlers, and then we see less than 12 hours that meeting takes place. So clearly that what it seems that the government is willing to resolve the crisis, to resolve the deadlock. And whereas since the protest is not taking place at Jantar Mantar, these wrestlers said that we are continuing our agenda, our agitation, and we will take it further for which the blueprint will be presented later. So there could be some, and subsequently we are also seeing Khap Panchayat involved, farmer unions involved. So that is potentially also a threat for the farmer, for the BJP particularly when you are almost edging close to the general election. So, there are multiple dimensions that need to be looked upon. But as far as the core issues and this key crisis between the government and these agitating wrestlers is concerned, one can really hope that since it's a second meeting and this is now second most powerful person in the government who's holding such meeting just less than a week, one can really expect there will be some resolution. After all, there is also anticipation that there are some farm leaders who are also playing as a mediation. But since these wrestlers have already came in there, the meeting has taken place more than 2 hours now. So unless they come out and there is some announcement made whether they agree with the assurance that the government has given, and also since their contention is only one, what sort of assurance that will be given by the government, also whether they are really assuring that there will be some strict action against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, or these wrestlers will be ready to wait to give certain time to the investigative agency, which is the Delhi police. They are going to withdraw the agitation because 9th June there was one protest called the Jantar Mantar by Rakesh Tikkat that has been cancelled. But we are saying Khap Panchayat holding a meeting near Delhi, not really very far. So that would have some political consequences. Subsequently, government would not want to have these agitation continue, particularly to those who have brought medals for India. So in that case, that looks like some step being taken from the government, and this is what we're seeing, what is happening here.
Okay, Ashutosh, stay on with us. My colleague Nitin Srivastav is also joining us live now. Nitin has been tracking these developments very closely since, of course, the wrestlers started agitating and the charges that they made against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Nitin, what are the wrestlers telling you? Because they seem to be, again, the question that I asked Ashutosh, they seem to be very adamant on their demand on the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. In such a situation where the government cannot promise them that, where does this deadlock break?
Well, first of all, there is an inside information with me, because the meeting is going on, and what I am learning from my sources that wrestlers have said that arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh and we will end our agitation. But from ministers' end, the negotiation and talks are on. As of now, there is no confirmation that what exactly minister is saying to the wrestlers as far as the arrest is concerned. Because again, remember, it's a police process. It's a police process. So that is why it is going to be very interesting, because it's not in the government's hand that to arrest someone. But there might be some way to end this agitation. You might hear something interesting and big after this meeting, which I am learning. As of now, I am told that there will be some big announcement if everything is being discussed and on the same page. Remember, wrestlers have said that whatever proposal will be given to us, we will discuss that proposal to our Khap leaders and the elders, and then only we will decide that what we need to do. As of now, what I'm learning from my sources, that talks are on and discussions on the arrest is going on.
Okay, so Nitin, your sources are telling you that there could be a big announcement, possibly there could be a breakthrough as far as this agitation is concerned. The protesting wrestlers, though, also telling you that they've put forth their demand to arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh before the government. Of course, the government cannot promise them that, because it's not for the government to arrest an individual. It is a matter of investigation, which the police, the Delhi police specifically in this case, is conducting at the moment. So that is, of course, what Nitin, my colleague, is learning from his sources. Ashutosh Mishra also continues to stay on with us. Now, of course, we want to understand why exactly is the government now trying to diffuse this tension. Remember, this agitation has been going on for a very, very long time, for a few months now. There have been 2 times at least that these protesting wrestlers have come forth and protested and wanted that there should be some amount of action. Then they went to the Supreme Court. An FIR was was lodged in this matter, 2 FIRs to be very specific, but now they want the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Why does the government want to diffuse the tension? My colleague Nabila Jamal will take you through that.
You know, clearly this has come as quite a black image, or rather tarnish the image of the country and the government alike. And this is certainly unsettling for the government at this point. A couple of reasons, Palmi, on why exactly the government may be trying to diffuse this face-off. We're seeing unease over this long-drawn protest across the country. There's been a lot of talk about this protest that's ongoing. People, of course, are sympathizing with the wrestlers, and this is coming as bad news for the government at this point. Dragging and detaining wrestlers as well has really sent a wrong message. We saw what happened on the day of the inauguration of the new parliament building when these protesters decided to march towards the new parliament in a symbolic protest. They were dragged and detained. There was no permission to protest, yet they rolled out their march towards the parliament, and as expected, the police detained them. Now the issue itself, the wrestlers protesting non-stop for the last few months, it's now turned into a whole women's issue altogether. And that's again cast a shadow on the entire system itself for not fast-tracking the investigation, not going forward with this aggressively. Global sporting bodies, on the other hand, many of them have already denied India the opportunity to host wrestling events in India. And now the global bodies as well speaking out in favor of these wrestlers. And that's also led to a lot of drama at this point within the wrestling fraternity itself. And of course, at the end of it, it's hurting BJP's perception. The BJP itself, which is in the ruling right now in the center, is slightly bothered, or maybe very bothered at this point, considering the wrestlers are not giving up until and unless their own MP, BJP MP Brij Bhushan, who is the WFI chief, is arrested. Palme.
Right. Nabila, thank you so much for taking us through all of those details. So that is exactly why the BJP is feeling like it's kind of cornered, that it has had to get down to the ground, to the brass tacks, in order to, of course, diffuse this ongoing face-off. Ashutosh continues to be live with us. Ashutosh, the government is feeling the pressure, this ongoing agitation, even though the wrestlers might not physically be sitting anywhere anymore. They're not at Jantar Mantar, nor are they sitting in protest anywhere. The pressure continues to mount on the government to end this agitation, Ashutosh.
Well, every time there is such kind of agitation, there is always a pressure on the government. And remember that the recent example is the farmers' agitation against the farm laws. And remember, we have seen the government literally bending upon the pressure. And just before the 5-state assembly election, the Prime Minister himself announced withdrawal of the farmers, those controversial laws. But here, what it comes, one side we see, there are the Jat community involved. Again, the rural entire belt of Western Uttar Pradesh or Haryana is not just ahead of, we are edging closer to the general election. But subsequently, there is another pressure which possibly, concerning the BJP in the Eastern Uttar Pradesh. One of the most influential Thakur Samaj leader from Eastern Uttar Pradesh, Kaisarganj Gonda, and also who influences several other adjoining seats and key player for the BJP in Eastern Uttar Pradesh. So if you arrest him, there will be a pressure from the opposition against the BJP, then now sack him from the party. And will that be possible for the BJP in the, particularly in the election era? So the pressure we are not only seeing only from the lesser side, but also within the BJP, looking at the political consequences. So everything calculated, that really, also making it difficult for the BJP to take certain decisions. But the reason that we know, this is the rule of law. The rule of law gives the authority to the Delhi police, who is the investigative agency in this case. When is POSCO concerned, of course, the serious charges. It is the prerogative of the investigative agency, as the government has been saying, as the Delhi police has been saying, as the legal expert has been saying, that they will decide when it is, when they want to take the cognizance of the case and concern Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. But the major charges coming, which is from the Brij Bhushan Singh and the wrestlers and the people close to wrestlers, including the Khab community or the farmers leader who are supporting and backing this agitation of the wrestlers, saying the since giving one of the most influential leader, that is also from the ruling party, that could potentially damage the case, particularly, and we have already ever since this in a statement of withdrawal, as the reports of those have come out, so for the opposition also taking, since the Delhi police has given him more than a 6 week, what will it lend up to? This is finally how it is happening, that in many cases we have seen the people influence the witness, people influence and tampering the evidence, those kind of charges. And remember, there are certain leaders from the opposition who are in the judicial custody in the investigative agency, be it the central agencies, have been saying this in a court of law, that this person is influential. If he is given bail, he could possibly affect the influence the witnesses, or even tamper the evidences. And on those ground, we have seen the court literally denying the bail. So here, subsequently, this is what coming from the opposition. The ruling party MP has not been arrested. The victim is a minor. Case is registered under POSCO Act, giving him more time. There is a possibility of not just tampering evidences, or also influencing the victim, and that could potentially dilute.
There are several charges, which is why, of course, these protesting wrestlers have been demanding immediate arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, because they fear that there could be tampering with evidence. They fear that witnesses could be, in fact, cornered into testifying on behalf of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Again, these are fears and allegations which the wrestlers have been levelling. They've been getting some amount of support from opposition parties. Listen in to these political reactions that have been coming in support of the protesting wrestlers.
Let BJP, Mr. Anurag Thakur, Prime Minister Modi know that the yearning for justice, or the clarion call for justice of our wrestlers, our sportsmen and women, will not go in vain. We and the entire nation are one with them, and we will struggle till the very end. Either this government will stay in power, or they will have to give justice to our wrestlers, or this government will be decimated to ashes. That is what is going to happen.
Not one voice from the government came forward appealing them to not to do so. The sports minister is tweeting now. Where was the sports minister that day when the same medals with which he's been having his pictures clicked, Prime Minister is getting pictures clicked with them. The same medals were being put away in Ganga by these wrestlers. They had gone there, but not one appeal by the sports minister, by Prime Minister, by any minister, by any MP.
धरने पे बैठे लोग, बेटियां बैठी नहीं धरने पर, बीजेपी के लोग सुनते रहे, देखते रहे, और केवल एक नहीं उदाहरण, ये 2 उदाहरण नहीं, पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में आप इस तरह के उदाहरण दे सकते हो जहां भेदभाव के साथ सरकार काम कर रही है.
So those are some of the political reactions that are coming in support of these protesting wrestlers. Nitin Srivastava, my colleague, continues to be live with us from outside Anurag Thakur's residence. Nitin, you're saying that there's possibility of a big announcement that could be made after this meeting concludes. The wrestlers, of course, have been adamant on the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. What is the sports ministry telling you about the demands and this agitation? What are you hearing from your sources within the ministry?
See, within the ministry, it was very clear that we want to have a meeting and we want to resolve all the issues which wrestlers are saying from day one, and that is why Anurag Thakur constantly was saying that whatever we have done as far as this agitation is concerned was suggested by the wrestlers only. Remember, there was a committee formed by the government which was oversight committee, and members of that committee was suggested by the wrestlers only. Babita Fogart was added in that committee, and also Yogeshwar Dutt was named by the wrestlers only. And on the other hand, when the wrestlers came back on 23rd of April this time, when they started their agitation at Jantar Mantar, there was a meeting of PT Usha at the Jantar Mantar only. She was there to try and have a dialogue with the wrestlers and also to sort out the issue and to end the agitation. But that meeting was inconclusive. Again, the ministry sources was constantly saying that whatever decision will be taken in consult with the wrestlers, and that is why Minister today is having a meeting already. It's a 2-hour meeting already passed. As of now, what my sources are suggesting me that there will be some big announcement. There will be some midway to actually go through and have a result of this meeting, because everybody wanted to come on the same page, and if that happens, be ready for some big announcement as far as the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is concerned. Remember, police is investigating this issue. There are questioning in Gonda when Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh was there. Police questioned some of his staff, some of the relatives, and on the other hand, the minor of this case has recorded a fresh statement in the court. So as of now, let's see that what outcome will be of this meeting, because all the wrestlers are adamant saying and that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh should be arrested. Let's see that what is the outcome of this meeting. Follow me.
Absolutely. Of course, we're standing by to find out the outcome of this very crucial meeting, which has been underway at Anurag Thakur, Union Sports Minister's residence since 11 a.m. this morning. Nitin and Ashutosh continue to be live with us with all the updates from inside that meeting. But there has been a big twist as far as this ongoing case is concerned. Now, this concerns the minor's statement before the police. Sources have told India Today that the minor, in fact, approached a court in Patiala House Court, a judge's courtroom, and recorded a new statement. Could that possibly have weakened the POCSO case against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? We don't know the details. The contents of the minor's new account will only be known, of course, once the police files a charge sheet. But even further, even if there is a retraction, the court may choose to look at other evidence and even consider the allegations of pressure or coercion of the victim. Handing it over now to my colleague Nabila to take you through some of the details that we've managed to gather as far as the minor's statement before the court is concerned. Nabila?
Right, Palami, it is certainly a big twist. It's added a whole new dimension now that the one minor in this case, among the 7 wrestlers, one of them is a minor. She's filed a POCSO case, recorded her statement, and to the shock of the wrestlers and those who are very keenly watching the protests here, the girl has withdrawn her initial statement. So this really now gives an impression that possibly someone is influencing the witness, the victim itself, that girl who's recorded her statement initially. Now also the case can't be closed even if at all the victim turns hostile. This is as part of the POCSO laws. Even if the victim withdraws her statement under the POCSO Act, it is the onus on the officials now to try and probe into or in-depth investigation into what could have led for that very person, the victim, to withdraw her statement. What turned her hostile? That kind of pressure now will fall on the police itself to try and give out a conclusive report on that. The court may also ignore if the second statement, they may not take the second statement into consideration if the evidence, any kind of evidence comes about that the victim itself was coerced to withdraw her statement. So we see in every sense that even though the girl, the minor girl who's withdrawn her first statement, recorded a second one, even though there raises a lot of questions on the severity of her second statement, and if at all it still is good enough to arrest Brij Bhushan. The fact that she's withdrawn the first itself raises a lot of, or pushes a lot of pressure on the police department now to answer whether or not this girl was coerced. Now, the onus is on the other victims. All the investigation will now lead towards the other victims in this case, the adults possibly, and there'll be enough and more pressure for the police, again, like I mentioned, to investigate the other witnesses in the case, because this one and only victim, who is a minor, has withdrawn her first initial statement. So in every sense, it's not so easy. If one might think, Palami, that this girl has withdrawn her statement, which means it's easier on Brij Bhushan. Certainly not. As per the POCSO laws, clearly, even though that girl has withdrawn her first statement, the onus now completely on the police to prove if she was coerced. And now the pressure again falls on the other victims in the case, the adults, like the other top wrestlers who have also testified, and their allegations will be heavily probed.
Right. Nabila, thank you so much for joining us with all of those details. Now, that concerns, of course, the minor's new statement that she's made before a judge at the Patiala House Court in Delhi. Ashutosh Mishra continues to be live with us. Ashutosh, how are the wrestlers seeing these new reports of the minor complainant in this case going before a judge and recording a new statement? Do they consider it a setback for their agitation?
Well, as far as withdrawing statement is concerned, that indeed, the setback for these agitating wrestlers. But I remember the statement of Bajrang Punia that those charges are false, that the minor who's a victim went to the court and withdrew her case. Though we know that there was another statement made by the prime witness, the prime victim against before the judge in the court. But was that a dilution of the case? What exactly was the contention? Until and unless that is made official by the Delhi police or it comes to the light by the investigative agency. So far, the one word which is out is that particularly she withdrew those particular charges, and that could possibly give relief during the trial when the charges are about to be fixed. That could potentially, the court would drop the charges made under the POSCO Act. But these wrestlers are saying that neither those victims, because everyone backing her, their contention is that those charges have not been withdrawn in the court. The victim, because they have been, of course, speaking to the victim. So because they are still in that affirmation that probably the victim has not withdrawn the case, or in her statement that she made before the court, probably the POSCO charges are not withdrawn, or the cases or the statement that was based off filing in POSCO Act was not withdrawn. But remember, because of this is a kind of dilemma that we are seeing, and the situation that has arrived at this moment, that the government has initiated dialogue between with these wrestlers. The opposition has gotten enough ammunition to target the BJP, that this is what happens when an influential leader charges after him, and the questions being asked at the extent that had it been any...
Okay, we're cutting across live to an interaction that we're getting with Mahavir Fogart. Listen in.
अभी महावीर जी, जो चूंकि बातचीत तो चल रही है, दूसरे दौर की बातचीत है, तो अब क्या हल निकलेगा क्या नहीं, ये तो मुझे लगता है वक्त बताएगा। लेकिन अब आगे की रणनीति आप लोगों की क्या रहेगी? क्या फिर कोई महापंचायत होगी, फिर कोई आंदोलन होगा?
देखिए, जो खाप पंचायतों ने, जो यूपी में पंचायत हुई, कुरुक्षेत्र हुई, सोनीपत हुई, और आज हमारी सर्वजातीय पंचायत है चरखी दादरी में, ये हमारी सांगवान जो खाप है, जो प्रधान है हमारे सांगवान खाप के, उनकी अध्यक्षता में हो रही है। तो ये जो आगे जो 9 तारीख के बाद में सरकार से अल्टीमेट दे रखा है खाप चौधरी ने, जो समझौता नहीं होता कि रणनीति बनाई जाएगी, तो उस रणनीति के लिए जो आज सर्वखाप पंचायत है।
ठीक है, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया बातचीत करने के लिए। तो साफ तौर पर आप तस्वीरों में भी देख सकते हैं जरा किस तरह से जो तमाम जो अलग अलग खाप हैं, वो श्योराण खाप हो और साथ ही साथ सांगवान खाप हो, वो सभी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं और अपने तरीके से और अपना वक्तव्य यहाँ पर रख रहे हैं। साजिद के साथ राम किंकर सिंह, चरखी दादरी, आज तक।
Right, so that was of course an interaction with Mahavir Fogart. Khaps of course coming out in support of the protesting wrestlers. We're slipping into a very short break. Stay tuned, news and updates will continue on the other side of this break.
Global ride-hailing platform Uber has announced plans to go 100% emission-free in the next decade. The company will be switching its fleet to EVs globally. Andrew McDonald, SVP Business Operations and Mobility, was in India and spoke to BTTV's Akanksha Chaturvedi on how the company plans this and how it will cope with the infrastructure challenges in India.
India is a really important market for Uber. It's great to be here today. This was a great event. We're keenly aware of the challenges, and frankly, these are challenges all countries face as they seek to electrify their economies, right? We're launching now in India because we think the ecosystem is ready. We've got great partners that we announced today, including BP Pulse as it relates to charging infrastructure, Everest and Move as it relates to fleets, Tata as it relates to getting vehicles available, EV vehicles available. So, we like to say sustainability is a team sport, and I think the team is ready in India, and that's why we're launching Uber Green today.
Okay. And since India is also a price-sensitive market, do you think this would also impact maybe your market share in a way that since you would want to become 100% emission-free by, say, 2040 or 2030? Of course, it's a very long run, but do you still think, at least in the short term, this might give your competitors an advantage?
Actually, I think it's the contrary. I think this gives us a big advantage. I mean, the first thing is consumers want this, right? I think there's a new generation of consumers who want companies who offer green products, and so we're giving consumers what they want. Key thing to remember is we have a tremendous amount of scale in India, right? We've got more than 800,000 active driver partners in 125 cities. We're doing more than 500 million trips a year. This is a business that's going to integrate green products, but we're not flipping a switch overnight to make the entire platform green. The final thing I'll say is operating costs for electric vehicles are coming down quite substantially. So actually, I think this will lower costs for drivers, which will improve their economics, which actually means that consumer prices will come down over time.
All right, welcome back. Let me cut across to news from Maharashtra's Kolhapur as we see protesters out in the streets and that district on the boil after Hindu groups held a protest march against objectionable posts of Mughal ruler Aurangzeb. Thousands of activists have hit the streets calling for a bandh after 3 minor Muslim boys had put up some objectionable WhatsApp status with regards to Aurangzeb on Tuesday. Protesters have demanded strict action against the youth who put up that social media status. In fact, the cops now they've indulged in lathi charge, chasing away those protesters who have been sitting in Dharna. That protest turned violent with incidents of vandalism being reported from pockets of that Kolhapur district. This comes just a day after 4 people were booked for carrying Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's posters during a procession in Maharashtra's Ahmednagar. Posters of Aurangzeb were raised during a procession that was held by the AIMIM chief. In fact, the Ahmednagar chief of the AIMIM himself has been identified as the man carrying one of those posters dancing during their rally. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has warned miscreants that such acts will not be tolerated in the state. Even the Maharashtra opposition leader Ajit Pawar has condemned the act, questioned why the police didn't take action while that rally was happening.
मैंने एसपी को खुद सूचित किया है और इसकी जांच की जाए और जो भी दोषी है उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई की जाए.
औरंगजेबाचे फोटो जर कोणी झळकवत असेल तर हे इथे मान्य केलं जाणार नाही. या देशामध्ये आणि विशेषतः महाराष्ट्रामध्ये आमचं आराध्य दैवत छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज आणि धर्मवीर छत्रपती संभाजी महाराजच असू शकतात. कोणी औरंग्याचं नाव घेत असेल तर त्याला त्या ठिकाणी माफी नाही.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने तुरंत सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर्स को, वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों को इसके बारे में आदेश दिए हैं. इसकी पूरी वीडियो क्लिप की जांच होगी, वो लोग आइडेंटिफाई किए जाएंगे और जो भी लोग उसमें हैं उनके ऊपर कड़क कार्रवाई करने का आदेश सीएम साहब ने भी दिए हैं और डीसीएम साहब ने भी दिए. किसी को भी ऐसा छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा जो ऐसे दंगे भड़काने की या दो समुदायों में तेड़ निर्माण करने की काम कर रहे, उनको निश्चित तौर पे उनके ऊपर कड़क कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
औरंगजेब का ये फोटो जो दिखाया वो दिखाने की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. ये गलत है. अपने महाराष्ट्र में ऐसा कैसा हो सकता है? उसके बारे में वहाँ की जो पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट है उसके ऑफिसर्स है, उन्होंने ये तुरंत वो रुकवाना चाहिए था, इमीडिएट. क्योंकि क्या हुआ, इसमें वो दिखाने के बाद फिर वायरल हो जाता है, फिर चर्चा हो जाती है, फिर एक दूसरे के ऊपर एलिगेशन हो जाते हैं. ये होना ही नहीं चाहिए.
इनका इंटेलिजेंस क्या करिए जा रहे हैं? कितनी चीजें मैं आपको 10 चीजें बता सकती हूँ विच द इंटेलिजेंस हैड वार्न्ड गवर्नमेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र एंड द होम मिनिस्ट्री हैज डन नथिंग. खुद के जिम्मेदारी से भाग रही है होम मिनिस्ट्री, वो ओनरशिप नहीं ले रही है. हर होम मिनिस्ट्री के पास एक इंटेलिजेंस का रिपोर्ट आता है, तो इनका इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट इनको नहीं बताता क्या होने वाला है. इतने दंगे जब से इनकी सरकार आई है दंगे ही हुए. इसके पहले इतने दंगे कभी नहीं हुए इस राज्य में, तो ऑब्वियसली ये फेलियर ऑफ होम मिनिस्ट्री है ना।
All right, Ritik Balekar joining us live from Maharashtra, Kolhapur. The episode itself is certainly worrying, Ritik. We see that these protesters have vandalized shops, called for a district-wide bandh. What happened so bad that these kind of protests were witnessed in that district of Maharashtra?
Nabila, just a day after Aurangzeb posters were flaunted and flagged in Ahmednagar district, now it's Kolhapur district which is in the eye of the storm. Let me tell you that 350 years of Rajyabhishek, Shiv Rajyabhishek is being celebrated across the state, and yesterday was a very big day for all the Shiva Bhakt who were celebrating Rajyabhishek Sohla all over the states, in their districts, in their villages. And at this point of time, we can see how Aurangzeb posters are being flaunted, and at the same time in Kolhapur district there were 3 youngsters who had kept status of Aurangzeb, glorifying Aurangzeb, which was the cause of the whole controversy. And since morning we saw that the Hindu groups which had called for Kolhapur Bandh today gathered in huge numbers on the streets of Kolhapur in Shivaji Maharaj Chowk in the middle of the city, and then they were protesting silently. They started gathering in hundreds and thousands of numbers, and soon we could see their sloganeering started, and then huge police personnel were also deployed on the spot, which resulted in the clash between both Hindu groups and police personnel. And then we saw how aggressive the crowd had become. They started vandalizing the shops in the city, they vandalized the vehicles. At the same time, stones were pelted in the city, and the situation was going beyond the control of. But now the situation is that the DG of Maharashtra state and also Deputy CM and Home Minister Devendra Fadnavis has took the charge. They are monitoring the situation very closely. Now the situation is told to be under control. The riot-like situation.
Ritik, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde of Maharashtra, who's spoken with this regard as we see huge protests that have been launched by right-wing Hindu groups in Kolhapur. Here's the CM speaking.
राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने की जिम्मेदारी सरकार की है। गृह विभाग और गृह मंत्री जी लगातार सभी अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में, मैं खुद पर्सनली अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में हूँ, और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने के लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है, ऐसा आह्वान भी मैं करता हूँ। और राज्य में सभी लोग शांति से रहे, या राज्य में शांति रहे, अमन रहे, इसके लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है।
All right, that's the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, speaking on this matter. Of course, it's raised a lot of questions on law and order in that area. Why? What really triggered that protest is basically 3 juvenile boys from the Muslim community put up a status endorsing Aurangzeb. And that led to huge commotion, with right-wing Hindu groups launching an all-out attack, protesting on the streets and how. These are visuals that came in from earlier today, where you see that that aerial view showing thousands of young boys out on the streets, vandalizing shops, shutting down establishments in Kolhapur, and also asking for a bandh, Kolhapur district bandh, with regards to this the status that's now gone viral. In fact, those boys who have put up that social media status are minors. They've also been arrested by the police, but yet we see these protests now ensuing in parts of Kolhapur district, Maharashtra, where they've vandalized shops, and stone pelting was also reported in many of those parts. This comes just day after Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis himself, condemned the posters of Aurangzeb being flashed by the AIMIM workers as part of a procession that they had held, saying that Aurangzeb cannot be celebrated and it's a strict action should be taken against them. And if there is any idol that Maharashtra has to worship,
That has to be Chhatrapati Shivaji and Chhatrapati Shambhaji. These were the words of Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis of Maharashtra as he sent out that warning, a verbal warning, a day after we see a WhatsApp status that went viral of 3 Muslim boys who endorsed Aurangzeb on their WhatsApp as part of their WhatsApp status. And after that went viral, we see right-wing Hindu groups launching an all-out attack out in the streets in hordes, thrashing, vandalizing shops and establishments, escaping the police lathi charge, pelting stones in the area. These visuals certainly incriminating, as the Chief Minister saying that the government is now taking cognizance. But so far, we see a lot of property already vandalized. A lot of questions being raised of law and order. Let me cut across to Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, yet again, what he said.
राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने की जिम्मेदारी सरकार की है। गृह विभाग और गृह मंत्री जी लगातार सभी अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में, मैं खुद पर्सनली अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में हूँ और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने के लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है, ऐसा आह्वान भी मैं करता हूँ। और राज्य में सभी लोग शांति से रहे, या राज्य में शांति रहे, अमन रहे, इसके लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है।
All right. Chief Minister of Maharashtra says that there's a lot of police that have been deployed to contain the law and order situation there in Kolhapur district. Says that he is in talks with the district officials and they're doing everything to maintain law and order. But these images are quite telling and upsetting indeed. A status that was put up by 3 minor boys who endorsed Aurangzeb. They've been arrested. But here you see massive mob that's launched an all-out attack in the district of Kolhapur, vandalizing shops, stone pelting, and they're being, of course, manned by the police, but a failed attempt. All right, some big news coming in from Karnataka. H.D. Kumaraswamy of the JDS rules out any alliance with the BJP. A lot of buzz that erupted about the BJP coming out with a pre-poll alliance before 2024 with the regional party of Karnataka, the JDS. But Kumaraswamy now speaking explicitly says no question ruled out. No chance of an alliance with the BJP. Says his fight is against national parties. He will not ally with the BJP. H.D. Kumaraswamy says will contest against both parties, the Congress and the BJP. Kumaraswamy said that he met Prime Minister Modi only for personal work and there was no question of an alliance with the BJP. We know that the JDS have received a massive drubbing in Karnataka this election. All the way from 30-odd seats that they had in 2018, they dropped down to barely 18. Hardly any impact the JDS had in this state assembly elections that went by in Karnataka. And a lot of speculation erupted after Kumaraswamy had met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a buzz that exploded that JDS is likely mulling over an alliance with the BJP, or BJP is mulling over an alliance with the JDS ahead of elections in 2024. Let's listen in Kumaraswamy as he spoke.
All these things, speculation according to me. There is no such kind of development in my party also, I think in their party also. Nobody has contacted. All these things.
There you have it. Yet again, if we could play that out, H.D. Kumaraswamy, as he spoke in clarification, saying there's no question of allying with the BJP. He'll fight against both national parties, the Congress and the BJP, 2024. Let me cut across to Sagai Raj. In fact, Sagai, quickly, we see H.D. Kumaraswamy meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tell us more about that meeting itself. It has sparked a lot of buzz, even in the national capital, Delhi, where I'm at, that there is likely a pre-poll alliance between the BJP and the JDS. The BJP itself looking at allying now with many of the regional parties after they lost their one and only gateway, Karnataka, in the south. For 2024, it appears the BJP now looking at
at tying up with parties like the JDS. Even in Andhra, there's been extensive talk with both YSRCP and the TDP. So the BJP positioning itself, but what about the JDS? What exactly is their intention?
See, if you notice in Karnataka, it was a decimating loss for JDS, and they are trying to get the existence in the state of Karnataka, where they have a strong hold in the state. And talking about all these issues, H.D. Kumaraswamy had also met the Prime Minister this weekend, and there was no photographs that was being shared about this particular meeting. And what we also get from sources is that there is already negotiation which is happening between JDS and of Lok Sabha elections. That H.D. Devegowda, when all the opposition party leaders had boycotted the parliament inauguration ceremony, H.D. Devegowda attended it, and when the opposition was in.
All right, we seem to have a problem with Sagai's connection there, but we heard it loud and clear. H.D. Kumaraswamy himself speaks, says not mulling over an alliance with the BJP. My meeting with the Prime Minister was it was something else altogether. It was an issue that I can't disclose. But the fight remains against both national parties. In 2024, Kumaraswamy says he will fight against the BJP and the Congress. Rules out an alliance with the BJP. All right, now actor Naseeruddin Shah has sparked a controversy of sorts as he says he uses his awards as door handles at washrooms. In fact, Naseeruddin Shah saying that he does not find any value in these trophies. He says that it's not fair really to pick one actor out of the many, and therefore he doesn't give any credit or merit to the awards being given. One actor being picked out of so many talented stars, it's unfair to crown him or her as the best of the lot. In a recent interview, the actor opened up about futility of competitive awards. In fact, he even claimed that he uses Filmfare Awards as a door handle in washrooms of his farmhouse. Let's have a listen.
मैंने आपके बारे में बहुत सारे लेजेंड सुने हैं। एक ये है कि आपका कोई मुंबई के पास फार्म हाउस है जिसके दरवाजों पे आपने अपनी ट्रॉफियां मढ़वा रखी हैं हत्ते के तौर पे। ये सच है या गलत?
ये सच है। क्योंकि इन ट्रॉफियों की कोई कीमत नहीं है मेरे लिए ना। पहली वाली जब मिली थी तो मैं बड़ा खुश हुआ था, फिर उसके बाद धड़ाधड़ मुझे अवार्ड पे अवार्ड मिलते गए जब मेरा करियर शुरू हुआ था। लेकिन मुझे उस दौरान पता चला कि ये अवार्ड जो हैं ये लॉबिंग का नतीजा है। ये नेसेसरीली आपके मेरिट की वजह से नहीं मिल रहे हैं। तो मैंने उनको कहीं रख दिया। फिर मुझे पद्मश्री पद्म भूषण वगैरह दिया गया तो मुझे अपने वालिद की बहुत याद आई जो गुजर चुके थे और जो हमेशा इस फिक्र में रहते थे कि तुम ये निकम्मों का काम करते हो, भांड बनोगे, ये बनोगे, वो बनोगे। और मैं राष्ट्रपति भवन में कहा तो मैंने बाबा से कहा आप देख रहे हो कि नहीं? तो वो देख रहे थे और वो बड़े खुश हो रहे थे। तो उस बात की मुझे खुशी है। लेकिन जो कॉम्पिटिटिव अवार्ड्स जो होते हैं मुझे इनसे सख्त नफरत है, क्योंकि किसी भी एक्टर जिसने अपनी जान लगा के काम किया है वो भी सबसे अच्छा एक्टर है ना साल भर का। आप टोकरी में से एक बंदे को निकाल के बोलोगे ये सबसे अच्छा है तो ये कहाँ से जायज हुई बात? मुझे बिल्कुल कोई उनमें आई एम नो प्राइड एट ऑल इन दोज अवार्ड्स। और मैं इनफैक्ट जो आखिरी 2 मिल रहे थे मैं उनको लेने भी नहीं गया था। और मैंने जब फार्म हाउस बनाया तो मैंने सोचा कि इनको यहाँ लगा देते हैं कि जो भी बाथरूम जाएगा उसको 2-2 मिलेंगे। दोनों हाथ से दरवाजा खोलना पड़ता है। 2 फिल्म फेयर अवार्ड।
All right, slipping into a short break. Coming up next, India will take on Australia in the World Test Championship finals at the Oval today. Much more on that on the other side. Do stay with us.
more than 48 hours after the triple train collision in Balasore. More than 24 hours after the Rail Ministry announced the completion of rescue at the accident site and commencement of restoration work, came the story of a miracle survival. Life found under scores of dead bodies. Dulal Majumdar from Assam was found breathing in the debris next to an upturned coach of the Coromandel Express.
खाना पीना हो रहा था क्या वहाँ पे? अभी अभी कैसा लग रहा है आपको? अच्छा लग रहा है। आपका घर कहाँ है? मेरा घर आसाम।
Majumdar was immediately rushed to the Balasore district hospital. He was weak due to injuries and dehydration.
उनका थोड़ा pain in abdomen and he has a headache. And he is complaining about the headache and little amount of bruise. छोटा injury, surface injury था. So immediately we go for CT thorax and CT brain. So immediately यहाँ रात को neuro operation was difficult, so we referred the patient to the AIIMS Bhubaneswar.
After providing initial treatment, Majumdar was then shifted to AIIMS in Bhubaneswar.
The patient is having a head injury and he has bleeding in the brain. So we are monitoring him for almost more than 24 hours now. And we're giving him decongestants to reduce the internal pressure. But now, because we are seeing slight drop in his overall general, Glasgow Coma scale, which we use for assessing the patients. So we are thinking of now at least operating him and removing the clot, and doing a decompressive cranectomy.
Almost after no exposure to water and food for the last 48 hours, and in a traumatic incident such as a rail accident, hospital officials say that so far his condition does look to be stable. He is currently admitted at AIIMS Bhubaneswar. People say that his survival and his recuperation is ongoing well, and his treatment that is on the current schedule, doctors say and hope that he does make a speedy recovery.
Dulal Majumdar's miracle survival perhaps gives a small glimmer of hope for many who are searching for their loved ones. With Apurva Jayachandran from Bhubaneswar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Two years of toil, and it all boils down to this. The top two test teams in the world are set to collide in blockbuster ICC World Test Championship finals at the Oval. India versus Australia is slated to be a contest for the ages, certainly. Rohit Sharma's team determined to break that 10-year jinx in the ICC events. On the other hand, Australia will want to complete the Grand Slam in cricket and win the Test Championship this time. Here's what really is at stake for both teams.
It's a chance for Team India to end a decade full of pain and disappointment. They came close in 2021 but fell narrowly short. 2 years later, they have a chance to redeem themselves. Team India may not have won silverware, but that in no way adds extra pressure on the unit.
I mean, we don't feel any pressure in terms of, trying to win an ICC trophy. Of course, it would be nice to do it. It's certainly nice to be able to win an ICC tournament. Winning series in Australia, drawing series here, being very competitive everywhere that this team has played in the world over the last 5 or 6 years. I think those are things that will never change just because you have or you don't have an ICC trophy.
The pitch at the Oval appears to have a healthy covering of grass, and that could tempt the team management to opt for an extra seamer.
Talking about the pitch, I saw it yesterday. I didn't have a chance to see it today. 9:15 was the press conference. Never thought it will be so early. So I'll go and have a look at the pitch. But looks a bit of help for the seamers definitely with the overhead conditions as well. It's going to assist seamers fair bit. I don't know how, drastically, the pitch changes quite a bit in this part of the world.
The other major selection conundrum could be whether India go in with both Ravindra Jadeja and R. Ashwin or select just one of them. As for Australia, Josh Hazlewood has been ruled out due to a side strain and Michael Nesser has replaced him in the squad.
From both sides.
Australia may have lost 4 consecutive bilateral test series against India, but skipper Pat Cummins is confident that his team can play good cricket at the Oval.
The Indian squad probably had more players over here before we did. But yeah, it's the challenges of having really busy schedules. You've got to change between different formats all the time. So it's nothing new. We've been really happy with our prep. We've been here about 10 days now. Had some really good training. So there's guys that have been playing quite a bit over here and other guys who have come in fresh, but we all feel ready.
For one team, it's about putting an end to a decade of pain. And for the other, it's about adding another feather to their cap. Sports Bureau, India Today.
All right, coming up next, right after a short break, taking you through all the images coming in from Maharashtra's Kolhapur, a massive protest that's been launched by right-wing Hindu groups after a WhatsApp status endorsing Aurangzeb went viral. More on that on the other side. Do stay tuned to India Today.
Not the Maharaja, Indigo is still the undisputed king of Indian skies. And the airline with the ubiquitous blue livery is ensuring it holds onto its crown. Indigo is reportedly spooling its engines to launch a 500 aircraft order. It would make it the biggest order till date from India, larger than the 470 aircraft ordered by Air India earlier this year. Indigo is eyeing 500 single-aisle Airbus A320 family aircraft with a sticker price of more than $50 billion. The final price, according to analysts, could be nearly half if discounts for bulk deals are included. Indigo is also planning on buying 25 wide-body aircraft, for which Airbus and Boeing are still in contention with their A330 Neo and 787 models. Indigo is already one of the largest Airbus customers, operating 308 Airbus-made aircraft. Nearly 500 aircraft are still to be delivered. There are fears that the two huge aircraft orders by Indigo and Air India could skew the demand-supply dynamics in the Indian markets. Indian carriers now have the second largest order book for aircraft, behind only the United States. The past few months have seen air traffic rise to zoom past pre-COVID levels as travelers return with a vengeance. Indigo had a market share of nearly 58% in April, with Vistara and Air India at a distant second and third positions. Go First, which went under last month, also had a decent 6% market share. With the Wadia Group-owned Go First grounded, Indian skies are running short of aircraft, pushing up airfares into stratosphere. There could be some relief for flyers in the future with these additions to aircraft fleet, both on domestic and international routes. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Co-powered by
The world comes together at Sharda University.
A very good afternoon. You're watching India Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. A quick look at the headlines. Protesting wrestlers arrive at Anurag Thakur's residence. The sports minister tries to negotiate in a key meet. Wrestlers listing out their demands. Meeting still underway. Massive protest in Maharashtra's Kolhapur. Big flare-up after Hindu procession. Protesters allegedly attacked shops, vandalized property. Cops resorted to lathi charge. Stalin versus Tamil Nadu governor fight only escalates. DMK mouthpiece calls governor half-boiled, says not bothered about Tamil Nadu citizens dying in Odisha tragedy. India will take on Australia in the World Test Championship finals at the Oval today. This is the second consecutive WTC finals for India as Rohit Sharma and co. eye to end 10-year ICC trophy drought. All right, Maharashtra now on the edge after Aurangzeb poster war erupted. WhatsApp post on Aurangzeb that triggered clashes. Massive flare-up over that picture that's now gone viral. We saw how right-wing Hindu groups launched an all-out attack on shops and establishments in Kolhapur as their symbolic protest. This is hardly symbolic, in fact violent if anything. These protesters there marched on the streets of Kolhapur, vandalizing property and pelting stones over a WhatsApp status that went viral that was put out by 3 Muslim minor boys who have now been arrested. Let me cut across to Saurabh Bhuktania joining us for more on that. Saurabh, tell us more on this protest. We see that 3 Muslim boys have put out a WhatsApp status that went viral where they endorsed Aurangzeb, and in response to that, thousands of right-wing Hindu activists launch a whole tirade there, attacking shops, vandalizing property and escaping police's lathi charge. What's the situation currently?
So, well, Maharashtra is boiling, Nabila. Let me tell you, since the time of this Aurangzeb posters were actually raised during a procession in Ahmednagar. Now, this is the similar situation, and this is the next incident which has happened over Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Now, what has happened over here in Kolhapur, Nabila? Now, there were these 3 Muslim youths. They are minor, basically. They have put up a WhatsApp status praising Aurangzeb. Now, this particular WhatsApp status, the screenshots were taken, and then this particular went viral in Kolhapur. Now, the Maharashtra DCM and Maharashtra CM have already said that praising of Aurangzeb will not be tolerated in Maharashtra. Strict actions will be taken. Now, what happened is once this posters went viral, the Hindu organizations in Kolhapur decided that there will be a bandh which will be called up today in Kolhapur, and there is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Chowk in Kolhapur where the protest will be led. Now, this particular protest went very violent, let me tell you, Nabila. There was scuffle with the police officials as well, which in the police vehicles were also stopped, and after which there was lathi charge which was done. Now, let me tell you, after this post which went viral in Kolhapur, there was stone pelting incident which took place yesterday night as well. There is a separate FIR in this particular case. So there were FIRs after FIRs which are happening. The 3 minor youths are detained, but they have to be sent to the remand home. Second, the FIR which is done on the stone pelting incident, 2 people have been arrested. Now, what the police officials are telling us that this particular situation has also been monitored. A 3rd FIR will be filed in Kolhapur in this particular matter. We are right now present outside Maharashtra CM Eknath Shinde's residence. We have met him just now. What he has said is strict actions will be taken. Maharashtra DCM Devendra Fadnavis will be landing in Nagpur. He also has said that praising of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb will not be tolerated in Maharashtra. He said that this is the land of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, this is the land of Chhatrapati Shambhaji Maharaj, and therefore praising of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb will not be tolerated, because there are repeatedly events after events which are happening, be it Ahmednagar, be it Kolhapur. Now, opposition is taking very hard on this particular incident, you know, and NCP, Supriya Sule and others have already commented that why there is so much of law and order situation in Maharashtra. The Home Department is failing to control such incident. Now Maharashtra CM has said that appeal to keep peace and calm in the situation. They have asked the people not to get incited, not to spread rumors, and he has appealed for peace in the area. He is also monitoring the situation continuously, but at the moment more forces are being called at this particular chowk in Kolhapur, Nabila. The area is completely cordoned off. Let me tell you, the entire Kolhapur right now is completely shut down. All the shops and everything in this particular area is completely shut down. The police have asked the protesters to protest very peacefully, but that eventually did not happen. And right now,
well, highly tragic, Saurabh. This is hardly the way to launch a protest. And then there's, if this is a kind of protest we see, there's absolutely no faith in law and order. And we are seeing a mob there. It's a huge crowd where they've turned mobbish and violent, vandalizing property, shutting down shops. This is illegal in itself. Saurabh, stay with us. Maharashtra's Kolhapur, as we see, currently on the boil after Hindu groups held a protest march against objectionable posts of Mughal ruler Aurangzeb. In fact, the status endorsed Aurangzeb. Thousands of activists, right-wing Hindu groups hit the streets calling for a bandh after the three boys who are Muslim minors put up this objectionable WhatsApp status hailing Aurangzeb as true king. This happened on Tuesday, that's yesterday, and today we see a fallout on the streets of Kolhapur. Protesters have demanded strict police action against the youth. Cops have also lathi-charged protesters as dharna turned quite violent, with incidents of vandalism being reported. This comes just a day after 4 people were booked for carrying Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's posters during procession in Maharashtra's Ahmednagar. Posters of Aurangzeb were raised during a procession on Sunday, and it was indeed the AIMIM chief himself of Ahmednagar who was spotted carrying a poster of Aurangzeb while dancing during that rally.
राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने की जिम्मेदारी सरकार की है। गृह विभाग और गृह मंत्री जी लगातार सभी अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में, मैं खुद पर्सनली अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में हूँ और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने के लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है, ऐसा आह्वान भी मैं करता हूँ। और राज्य में सभी लोग शांति से रहे, या राज्य में शांति रहे, अमन रहे, इसके लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है।
All right, let me cut across to Saurabh Bhaktania for more on that. Saurabh, we see the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde saying that he's spoken to district officials, etc., to try and maintain law and order, but seems like a failed attempt because what we see on the streets is certainly worrying. It looks like as if the crowds there have gone fully amok. There's no value or regard to any law in place. Police with lathis, they're trying to contain these violent protesters, but seem to no effect.
Well, absolutely, Nabila. This is what the opposition is also alleging, be it the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena or be it the NCP. What they are alleging is there is an intelligence failure. What they are saying, that there are repeated events which are happening. There is law and order situation. There is community clashes which are happening over Aurangzeb's issue. Now, yesterday, this incident is of yesterday. In fact, let me tell you, Hindu organizations had called for a complete shutdown of Kolhapur, and not just that, there was a huge protest which was called on. So what the opposition is alleging, that the police officials were very well aware of this, that such huge protest is going to happen in Kolhapur today. There are thousands of people who are going to gather over there. The situation turned violent. The situation went out of hand. So what were the officials, what were the police officials, what was the government doing about this when they knew that such incident is bound to happen? Why there was no extra forces been called on? Now what the NCP and the UBT Sena is telling, that there's a complete failure of the Home Department, there's a complete failure of the Intelligence Department, and therefore the strict action should be taken in this particular incident. We have spoken to the Maharashtra CM as well. He's right now at his residence, he's continuously monitoring the situation, he's speaking to the administration and the police officials on ground. Extra forces have been called right now. But let me tell you, the very recent the update which I have personally taken from Kolhapur, let me tell you, more vehicles vehicles and the rickshaws have been vandalized. So the protesters are right now going berserk, and what we are learning from the ground zero in Kolhapur, that still the violence is going on. There is the stone pelting. In fact, few of the vehicles and the auto rickshaws are also been vandalized by the protesters. Nabila.
All right. Thank you very much. Stay with us. We have politics, of course, erupting with this regard, as we see a lot of comments now escalating this matter. Maharashtra's fight in the name of Aurangzeb, while Maharashtra government has made it quite clear that waving Aurangzeb posters in the state will really not be tolerated. They'll be taken to task. The Aghadi Netas are asking really what's the big deal. NCP chief Sharad Pawar has downplayed this outrage and protests over Aurangzeb's poster. His daughter and NCP MP Supriya Sule in turn has blamed Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister and Home Minister Devendra Fadnavis for the failure of law and order situation in the state. Let's have a listen.
इनका इंटेलिजेंस क्या कहिए जा रहे, कितनी चीजें मैं आपको 10 चीजें बता सकती हूँ which the intelligence had warned government of Maharashtra and the home ministry has done nothing. खुद की जिम्मेदारी से भाग रही है होम मिनिस्ट्री, वो ओनरशिप नहीं ले रही है. वो हर होम मिनिस्ट्री के पास एक इंटेलिजेंस का रिपोर्ट आता है, तो इनका इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट इनको नहीं बताता क्या होने वाला है. इतने दंगे जब से इनकी सरकार आई है दंगे ही हुए, इसके पहले इतने दंगे कभी नहीं हुए इस राज्य में. तो ऑब्वियसली ये फेलियर ऑफ होम मिनिस्ट्री है ना.
औरंगजेब का ये फोटो जो दिखाया, वो दिखाने की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, ये गलत है. अपने महाराष्ट्र में ऐसा कैसा हो सकता है? उसके बारे में वहाँ की जो पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट है, उसके ऑफिसर्स है, उन्होंने ये तुरंत वो रुकवाना चाहिए था, इमीडिएट. क्योंकि क्या हुआ, इसमें वो दिखाने के बाद फिर वायरल हो जाता है, फिर चर्चा हो जाती है, फिर एक दूसरे के ऊपर एलिगेशन हो जाते हैं. ये होना ही नहीं चाहिए.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने तुरंत सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर्स को, वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों को इसके बारे में आदेश दिए हैं. इसकी पूरी वीडियो क्लिप की जांच होगी, वो लोग आइडेंटिफाई किए जाएंगे और जो भी लोग उसमें हैं उनके ऊपर कड़क कार्रवाई करने का आदेश सीएम साहब ने भी दिए हैं और डीसीएम साहब ने भी दिए. किसी को भी ऐसा छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा जो ऐसे दंगे भड़काने की या दो समुदायों में तेड़ निर्माण करने के काम कर रहे, उनको निश्चित तौर पे उनके ऊपर कड़क कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
All right, Saurabh Vakhtania joining us live for more on that. Saurabh, tell us more, as we see the NCP chief Sharad Pawar hasn't really paid much attention to a situation like this. We know that the protests have really raised a lot of concerns on law and order, but the issue that really triggered the series of protests that have been reported in Kolhapur, we see right from the start of the day, police are struggling to maintain calm among these right-wingers who have vandalized shops, shut down establishments there in Kolhapur, asking for a bandh over a WhatsApp status that's gone viral. Those boys have also been arrested. So really, what's the real issue here?
So, well, what NCP is trying to say here, Nabila, is that the entire situation has been purposely trying to be escalated. Now, what they are saying is that when the intelligence department, the police department knew that such incident might happen, the Hindu organization had already said that there will be a massive protest in Kolhapur at the Shivaji Maharaj Chowk today since morning, and they had called for the entire shutdown of the Kolhapur area. Then why there was no additional forces been called in? Why the people were actually allowed to gather over here? Now, this is what actually has been pointed out. Now, what has happened over here is that the NCP and the other opposition parties are right now alleging that the Maharashtra government is letting all this protest and all this things happening over Aurangzeb, and they are not trying to stop here. What they are saying is that when they knew about this, then why all this is happening? In fact, what is happening right now at the moment on the ground, Nabila, we are getting the latest visuals from Kolhapur as well, that there has been still stone pelting happening. In fact, let me tell you, the vandalization is still happening. Several of the 4 vehicles which were parked of the residential area, the protesters are running through those areas and actually vandalizing the vehicles and the rickshaws which are parked over here. The police has actually failed to control the situation. This is highly tense situation because this is events after events on the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb. We see a very recent incident in Ahmednagar. 4 people were arrested. Actually, they were actually showing off the posters of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, and 4 youths from the community were arrested. Now, similar incident happened in Kolhapur as well, where the 3 Muslim youth who are actually juvenile, let me tell you very precisely, Nabila, they are not above the age of 18. They are minor, and therefore they cannot be directly arrested. They have been detained at the moment. They have to be sent to the children remand home. Now, they had put a WhatsApp status. Now, that particular screenshot of that particular WhatsApp status was actually taken, and it went viral in Kolhapur. The Hindu groups actually demanded a strict action. The police had actually registered an FIR in this case, but there was stone pelting, and after the stone pelting yesterday, they had called for this massive protest. So police had to make a proper arrangement, but right now that doesn't seem to
Right, we see what's happening right now. In fact, Deepak Suryavanshi is right there. Stay with us, Saurabh. I'm going to cut across to our reporter with his ground report in Kolhapur, right at the epicenter of these protests. Listen in.
युवकों ने अपने मोबाइल पर स्टेटस लगाया था, इससे चलते हिंदुत्ववादी संगठन के कार्यकर्ता उन पर कार्रवाई करे, ऐसी मांग लेकर लक्ष्मीपुरी पुलिस थाने के पास कल शाम के वक्त आंदोलन छेड़ा था। बाद में इन युवकों पर कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई होने की मांग को लेकर आज कोल्हापुर बंद का ऐलान हिंदुत्ववादी संगठन ने किया था। इससे चलते कोल्हापुर के शिवाजी महाराज पुतला चौक पर सुबह 10 बजे के करीब हजारों के तादाद में हिंदुत्ववादी संगठन के कार्यकर्ता इकट्ठा हुए। बाद में वहां पे नारेबाजी करते हुए नजर आए। उसके बाद जो कार्यकर्ता था वो आक्रामक बने, पुलिस का उन पर से नियंत्रण छूट गया। साथ ही जो कार्यकर्ता अलग अलग जगह पर जाकर कई इलाकों में तोड़फोड़ पत्थरबाजी करना शुरू कर दिया। इससे चलते कोल्हापुर के अलग अलग जगह पर जो व्हीकल थे, मोटरसाइकिल थे, साथ ही कार थी और ऑटो रिक्शा था, उनको पलट दिया। कई जगह पर पत्थरबाजी करके नुकसान पहुंचाया। ये इलाका है हाउसिंग रोड, जहाँ पर ये अब दिख रहा है कि यहाँ पे जो ऑटो थे भारी मात्रा में उन पर पत्थरबाजी करके नुकसान पहुंचाया गया है। यहाँ से जो इकट्ठा हुए थे हिंदुत्ववादी संगठन के कार्यकर्ता, वो सिर्फ मांग कर रहे थे कि जो लोग इन जो स्टेटस लगाए थे उन पर कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई की जाए। साथ ही कोल्हापुर के अलग इस इलाके में देखिए, यहाँ का जो ऑटो स्टैंड लगाया था, इन पर भी पत्थरबाजी हुई है। भारी मात्रा में ऑटो का नुकसान करते हुए यहाँ पे दिखाई दिया था। पत्थरबाजी हुई। पुलिस ने
बताया, चाहे वो बीज हो, चाहे फर्टिलाइजर हो, जो बिना बढ़त के इतने दुनिया में इतने दाम बढ़ गए, लगभग 3 गुना 4 गुना होने के बावजूद भारत में फर्टिलाइजर के दामों में जरा भी वृद्धि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने होने नहीं दी, जिसके कारण हमारे किसानों को बहुत लाभ मिला। शायद एक एक किसान का लाभ देखने जाए तो हजारों रुपए का लाभ किसानों को सिर्फ और सिर्फ फर्टिलाइजर दाम ना बढ़ाने से पिछले वर्ष में मिला है। और ये बात में कोई दो राय नहीं है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी की बहुत ही सफल कूटनीति के कारण जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने आज की दुनिया की बहुत ही गंभीर दिक्कत वाली परिस्थितियों के बीच में भारत को पर्याप्त मात्रा में फर्टिलाइजर उपलब्ध हो, इसको जो सुनिश्चित किया, वो वास्तव में पूरी दुनिया ने नोट किया है। कई बार हम जैसे WTO वगैरह की मीटिंग्स में जाते हैं या खाद्य सुरक्षा की मीटिंग्स के ऊपर जब चर्चा होती है तो पूरा विश्व आश्चर्यचकित रहता है कि भारत में ना तो खाद की कोई तकलीफ हुई, फर्टिलाइजर की तकलीफ हुई, ना उसके दाम बढ़ने दिए जिससे किसानों को तकलीफ हो, और इसके फलस्वरूप हमारे अन्नदाताओं ने देश में फूड ग्रेन की उपलब्धता सुनिश्चित ही नहीं कही लेकिन वृद्धि भी कही है। दो इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट्स हैं। पिछले 4 साल में दलहन में लगभग 25% की उत्पादन में वृद्धि हुई है और तिलहन में लगभग 30% की वृद्धि देश के किसानों ने की है। ये भी मैं समझता हूं एक बहुत अच्छा लक्षण है जो दर्शाता है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के अलग अलग जो योजनाएं हैं, चाहे वो पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि हो, चाहे वो कृषि क्रेडिट कार्ड, किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड के माध्यम से पर्याप्त मात्रा में ऋण उपलब्ध कराने की बात हो, फर्टिलाइजर की दामें ना बढ़ाने की बात हो, समय समय पे अच्छे दामों में बीज मिले किसानों को, जिस प्रकार से प्रधानमंत्री सिंचाई योजना के माध्यम से और बड़े मात्रा में सिंचाई पहुंचाई गई है किसानों तक, देश में 24 घंटे बिजली सुनिश्चित कर दी गई है और किसानों को पर्याप्त अब बिजली मिलने लगी है, बिजली की समस्या नहीं रही। ये सभी अगर हम दृष्टिकोण रखें, होलिस्टिक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव जो प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच रही है किसानों के प्रति, इस सब को दर्शाता हुआ ये उपलब्धि रही है। मैं ये भी एक आप सबके समक्ष रखना चाहूंगा कि पहले के दिनों में 2014 तक महंगाई की दर लगभग 10-12% सामान्य मानी जाती थी। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के आने के बाद जो औसतम महंगाई की दर है वो 9 वर्षों में आधी से कम हो गई है।
All right, we're going to slip into a short break on that note. Coming up on the other side, India will be taking on Australia in the World Test Championship finals at Oval today. Special report right from London on ground on the other side by Nikhil Laz. Stay with us.
Introducing Apple Vision Pro.
Apple unveiled its hotly anticipated augmented reality headset on Monday, its riskiest and biggest bet since the iPhone debuted more than a decade ago. The Vision Pro poses a direct challenge to Meta's line of mixed and virtual reality devices. And with a price tag that will start at $3,499, the Vision Pro will cost more than 3 times Meta's priciest headset when it launches next year. Apple CEO Tim Cook.
It's the first Apple product you looked through and not at. Vision Pro feels familiar, yet it's entirely new. You can see, hear, and interact with digital content just like it's in your physical space.
Apple said that users of the Vision Pro will be able to select content inside the goggles with their eyes, tap their fingers together to click, and gently flick to scroll, while also using a 3-dimensional camera and microphone system to capture videos and pictures that can be viewed in 3D later. In its most striking difference from Meta's headsets, the device also has an exterior display that shows the user's eyes to people in the outside world.
So in the same way that Mac introduced us to personal computing and iPhone introduced us to mobile computing, Apple Vision Pro will introduce us to spatial computing.
The exterior screen goes dark when a user is fully immersed in a virtual world. When a person approaches a user who is in a full virtual mode, the headset will show both the user and the outside person to each other. For work uses, Apple showed how the headset can be used with a trackpad and keyboard to work like a traditional computer with multiple displays. The Vision Pro has 2 hours of use with an external battery, similar to Meta's top-of-the-line Quest Pro mixed reality device. Besides the headset, Apple also displayed a raft of new products and features, including a 15-inch MacBook Air, a powerful chip called M2 Ultra, and improvements to its iOS software and autocorrect feature. Shares of the iPhone maker rose 2% to hit a record high ahead of the launch, but shares ended slightly lower after the announcement.
Two Indian leaders, one from the ruling party and the other from the opposition, are abroad interacting with the diaspora and holding meetings. Their approach totally different. If Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is using much of his time to target Prime Minister Narendra Modi, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is refusing to delve on Indian domestic politics.
I try when I go abroad not to do politics abroad. You know, even a democratic culture has a certain collective responsibility. There is a national interest, there is a collective image. There are sometimes things bigger than politics. And when you step outside the country, I think that's important to remember. So I may differ strongly with someone. I could say to you I differ with them, but how I counter it, I would like to go back at home and do it, and watch me when I get back.
While responding to a question at a diaspora meet in Cape Town, South Africa after the BRICS meet, Jaishankar did not name any leader, but his reference to Rahul Gandhi was obvious. In contrast, Rahul Gandhi has been attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his speeches in the United States.
All of you came here by car, using your cars. Imagine if the only thing you did was look in the rearview mirror. And it's the same idea with the BJP, with the RSS, all of them. You listen to them. You listen to their ministers. You listen to the Prime Minister. You will never find them talking about the future. They will only talk about the past.
Rahul had earlier accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of playing God.
We have a group of people in India who are absolutely convinced that they know everything. In fact, I think they think maybe they know even more than God. They could sit down with God and have a conversation and explain to him, about what is going on. And of course, our Prime Minister is one such specimen. I think if you sat Modi ji down next to God, Modi ji would start explaining to God how the universe works.
While Rahul Gandhi is often criticized for attacking the Modi government on foreign soil, the Congress points to the Prime Minister's speeches abroad that have targeted earlier governments. But should Indian leaders be taking domestic political feuds abroad at all? It's a debate that is raging but not settled yet. Bureau Report, India Today.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
Well, hello and welcome to our special broadcast coming to you live from London. In fact, live from right outside the Oval Cricket Ground. This is where all the action is. Show your jersey. Indian fans out in full number. All I could see and what you can see behind me, let me quickly give you a glance. All you see are blue jerseys because it's India all around. I can even see the Indian tricolour. There you see. So that's how it's setting up right now for that big finale of the World Test Championship. I'll speak to a few fans as well, get you a sense of what they are thinking at the moment, how excited they are about this game and what do they think the Indian team should do. But that's coming up a little later in the program. We'll also listen into Sunil Gavaskar, who will tell us the exact thing that India must do if they have to win this final. But first, let's quickly listen in to the two captains that spoke to the press on the eve of the game, and then they spoke about their strategy, what might just be their playing 11. Let's listen into that first.